welcome to the 17th episode of Live with Jill and Frank. My name's Jill Petrie. I'm a psychic medium.
And I am Frank. I am a spiritual guide and coach. Welcome to our show, Live with Jill and Frank. And
If you're here, please interact with us in the comments. Let us know you're here. If you have any questions about any of tonight's topics or other questions that have to do with spirituality, you can.
feel free to engage at any time. We love engaging with people. We love getting your opinion. We love hearing your stories sometimes. So feel free. Now,
And please share the live.
it's funny because we had we're jumping around on format. Jill and I had said, like, do we have a topic? Do we not have a topic? Do we? And so tonight we had decided not to have a topic, and it's
Yeah,
funny
because
because
we always
today
go off topic anyway.
it's true enough. But then today I was in the woods and I was for some reason I had this whole thought pattern going on in my head about the difference between love and love, right? The love between a man and a woman, or between a man and a man, or whatever, but the love between humans and the love, the universal love, the
Hmm.
source love, right? And it was weird because I was thinking of everybody comes like all the time, right? Everybody's looking for love. Everybody's looking for their soulmate and for the person that they're going to meet. And what I think I came to realize is that until you've managed to experience love of self, but at the same time, that becomes the love of source because it's the
Hmm.
same love, then you're not gonna you're gonna keep on getting experiences, and once you reach that place where you actually wouldn't need it, you don't care because now you have there's so much love from source love in your life that you feel like complete, and all of a sudden is going to show up the person that makes sense for you because now you're actually open to that person.
Because no matter what, like in the end, and I say the end because that's just words we use. Y'all know I use those same words. But like in the end, if we may or may not have our loved one with us. So we have to learn to love ourselves. What if we're alone in the end, in the final days?
Hmm.
So loving yourself is the most important thing. And then if you can't love yourself, how can you expect anybody to love you?
Well, besides, we're alone even while we're living. I mean,
Hmm.
we have people in our lives, but yeah, we're alone, and nobody else, not a single person in the universe, has the same experience as us. Right? Where each individual is a star. Each individual is like a universe in themselves. Because the difference is, you grew up in Louisiana, I grew up in Canada. Like, I
Hmm.
mean, if we sat down and we went through the details of our lives, we would probably appear like aliens to each other at
Hmm.
times, right? We'd be like, really? What? You guys did what? How did that?
Yep.
And so, when you consider all those things, it's like incredible the difference. So we all come at this from different places, and it's really all about self, but about self with. See, it's so weird. I always feel weird when I say that it's about self, right? That you got to look at yourself, that you got to study yourself, because then I feel there's a danger that people will hear like, oh yeah, it's all about pleasing myself and doing everything for myself, and it's like, oh no, wait a minute, now you're going into the more egotistical part of it, right? Like, so it's the deeper self. It's not the ego self, but it's that deeper self we have.
Right.
And so I always feel bad when I say it because I'm like, yeah, but people think self is the ego, but it's not. Self is the that deeper part, I think. I don't know.
And then again, we can talk about the work that we ha- have to sometimes do to be able to love ourselves, because just like in a
Hmm.
relationship with love, there's work for that love, right? So
Indeed.
so if it's important to work on yourself as one.
That's very true. That's very true. It's easy to say, yeah, you got to love yourself, but
Hmm.
it getting there from, I mean, I was a person that hated himself. Like I didn't think I had a place in the universe. I didn't think I had a place on earth, and I had to learn that. And and I think I feel sometimes I have a disconnect with people in the sense that I've gone through that, and now I'm sort of like out of it. And sometimes I feel out of touch with people that are coming in that are feeling that way, and I'm like, no, 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 but that was me. Like that is
Hmm.
where I'm from, right? Like that feeling, that despair. I know what it's like, right? And it's if I could give like my whole life to be able to get people out of that feeling, like just that, like you know what I mean. But at the same time, it's the path they have to follow.
Maybe you
So
have to go through, that feeling to be able to gain the self love. Not maybe, like you do have to
we
go
do,
through that feeling
we do. It's
to be able to gain the self love.
well, that's what you see most like the Buddha and like most prophets. That's what ended up happening, right? They left. They went like, okay, how can we end suffering? What is the nature of suffering? And they came back and they went like, wow, okay, wait a minute, you can't end suffering, you can just sort of accept suffering, and
Right.
once you do, it's fine. Suffering, it takes a whole different meaning,
Right.
because now you're actually going through the suffering, but it's not a thing anymore. It's not a big deal, right? You're just going like, okay, well, this is happening because suffering happens in life, and let's keep moving. And for me, anyways, that's how it feels now. Like, I mean, I've just gone through hell and back in the last few weeks, but I don't know, like it's remaining. You know what? I think there's one tool that helps me get there more than any other tool. And I always tell people they should do that. And it's a gratitude book. Like just the action of taking, a few moments every day and writing three things that you're grateful for. It makes a huge difference in a
It does
life.
make a difference, and a lot of the times it changes our mood too.
It does. It does. Like, I mean, right now, I was going through a very tough period of my life, and the entire way through, what I kept on thinking is how grateful I was for the bits of help I was getting from different people, or
Hmm.
like the way the path was carved for me, so that even though it was hard, I could see, okay, wait a minute, I'm on the right path, or like all those things, right? Once you learn to recognize them, they are so powerful because now you're like, oh, well, wait a minute. No, no, I'm on the right track. And so those same challenges that might have taken you like so much effort and so many days or whatever, now you plow through them like if there's no tomorrow.
But the whole thing is, so just like we grow in life, like from a baby to an adult to an elderly person, we also our souls grow. And so
Hmm.
the mission here is for our soul to grow and for our soul to be able to evolve. It has to experience all of these things, like painful things,
Yes.
hurtful things. So that's why it's hard to understand explain to someone who's not open minded and spiritually awakened that they a lot of times you'll hear people say, "Oh well, I don't know what I ever did to deserve this, or I don't know why I got that. Why did this happen to me? Why is God punishing me? Things like that." He's not. It's because your soul is evolving, because you
Hmm.
ask for these challenges to be able to grow, just like you grow from a child to an adult.
It's because it comes down to in psychology. There's the I don't know how to pronounce it properly, but Kaplan or whatever triangle, which is the aggressor, the victim, and the savior, right?
Hmm.
And so people do take that victim mentality, right? It's like, oh, why me? Why? No, nobody picked you. The world is hard on everybody. Like nature would love nothing more than to kill us. Okay, now that we know this, we build houses, we do stuff. But I mean, yeah, the universe would want, we're about to explore space. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I will never get on a spaceship, man. Like there's nothing more in a spot like inhospitable than space. It's like that little window cracks, guess what, dude? You get sucked out and you're frozen and shattered and God knows. And it's like, wow, okay, I don't but that's reality, right? Life, the universe, like the nature makes it hard on us, but that's just life. That's just the way it is. So if we know tomorrow's going to be a struggle, why? Because every day's a struggle. Some days are better, but
But the
ev-
struggle grows your soul.
but yeah, that's it, right? And this is what we and you know it sometimes I get frustrated because I see people like, oh, like I wish this was my last time on earth or blah blah blah. And it's like, you know what? Like I kind of buy the idea that like whatever beings exist, yeah, they all wish they could have our experience because we get to experience matter and they don't. We get to experience like a lot of weird things, humans, and not every beings get to experience that. So it's being on Earth is actually a position of privilege, not a position of I don't know.
But that's why we say people are not awakened, because we have all this clutter on top of our minds here on earth that's blocking us from realizing that what we go through is for our growth.
But that's it. That's the whole point. That's the reason we come to Earth is actually to experience that. Our
Hmm.
entire goal is to oh my God, this is so freaky. Like this ties back to I had written a bio and I put that in there because it was a turning point in my life. But
Hmm.
basically, we come here so that the material, we can learn from the material and we can learn to detach ourselves from that same material and return, right?
Hmm.
Now, it kind of ties in. I don't know why I'm tying it to that, but when I was, I guess, I don't know, in my 20s, I was panhandling in a subway at some point, and there's a lady that stopped, and we started talking about spirituality and whatever, right? And for some reason that day that lady said to me, she said, well, it's all fine and dandy to be looking at all the different levels and all the whatever, and she said, but like I think first you have to master this realm and then you move on to the next one and the next one. She said, but it starts here. She was like, you can't, like want to be there. You can't want to be enlightened without going through your life as a human. Like
Right.
it's through that life that you become that. And I was like, okay, you know what? Like that makes sense. And it resonated in my head for years. And that's what brought me when I was in rehab, brought me to kind of go, okay, well now I'm gonna go try to have a job and I'm gonna try to master this realm. Right. And I
Right.
sort of did. I went to a point where I became a general manager of a huge store, whatever. Like, I had a good job. I was, like I had done that part well, if you will. And then I
I
was like,
was
okay.
I was thinking about that today. Like there's a lot of times that I just think about different conversations I've had with different people in a specific quote or something, sentence, whatever, pop into my mind. It's like you never really like sit down and think about those things that are going to help you for your growth and for your maturity, I guess is the best word to say, for later
Hmm.
in life. When that time when your mind starts thinking differently, and the things that would have pissed you off back then don't necessarily piss you off
Now you're
anymore,
like, okay,
because
whatever.
it's like, oh, um you'll look back at your life and think about specific things that people said to you that at the time it was like whatever, and then they stick with you,
Yeah, yeah.
just stick with you throughout life.
Why, see, that's the whole process. That's what you know how I said the other day, well, I said often, I think, but when you talk to somebody, if you're talking to them about something they're not aware of yet,
Hmm.
there'll be a block. There'll be like, some of the information will go through. It's like if you had all this information going through and all of a sudden it just whoops, some of it
Hmm.
continues and some of it stops, and you're like, oh, okay, all right, that one didn't go in. But the thing is, it still planted a seed. It still was heard by the brain, right? And
Hmm.
later, 2 years, 5 years later, all of a sudden that person is doing something else. Somebody else says something that may sound more meaningful to them, and all of a sudden, all those little bits tie together, and they go, "Whoa,
Wow.
oh, that's what happened." Yeah,
Light bulb
and
goes off.
yeah, so every single the tiniest experiences we go through are important. And this is where in magic we start creating them, right? Because through ritual, what you're doing is you're visualizing situations and new experiences, but you're tricking your brain into thinking they're real,
Right.
right? Like when we do visualization, when we visualize, like let's say there was a visualization I did where you were going downstairs. Well, you have a very similar one actually. You were going downstairs and then you sat on a bench, and then on the bench you were visited by your guides and so on and so forth. Now we're creating in the ether beings and situations and a bench
Hmm.
and all that. So we're creating a space that allows our subconscious or our higher self to come and communicate with us, right? Is it doing it on its own?
Let,
Is it a being that's there? No, we're creating it. But because we're creating it, it
but
comes in.
yeah, and that's where it kind of gets tricky at times, depending on where you at in your development, because to know you're creating it and then to have other people that you communicate with believe that it is, it gets confusing.
Yes, I see what you mean.
So but let me just say, there's a lot of people that come to me and they're like, "Oh, I haven't met my spirit guides yet. I haven't met my spirit guides."
Hmm.
If you're the type of person, like I've always done this, when you go to sleep at night, to fall asleep, some people go to sleep right away. Some people will like daydream, like create scenarios in their head. That's what I
Hmm.
did. I think that's a normal thing that people do.
I
Like
think a lot of people do.
imagination. If you have an imagination and you can create that picture in your head, you can meet your spirit guides. Because
Absolutely.
people think that they're waiting for them to just appear to them. That's not what it is. Your spirit guide is whoever your imagination creates.
It's because you're basically creating a vessel for something that exists inside of you, right? But the
Right.
same way, like psychology does similar things. That's the part that always makes me laugh. It's modern psychology is like miles behind the old civilizations with their gods, because their gods, they were very aware that they were not gods. They were not things that we created the gods, but by creating the gods, we gave them power. And so we created gods for each of the things that were happening inside us, each of the things happening in our environment. So we took all the energies and we named them and we created a form for them. And we said, this is the God, whatever, you know, the God of love, the God of war, the God of like every human emotion, every human aspiration. We kind of went like, okay, yeah. But in doing so, we gave them a power because we're creators. We're able to do that. And so when we took those energies and we gave them form, we also gave them those powers. And so
Right.
do the gods exist? Yes, they do. Did they create us? No, not really. We created them. But it's a full circle. Like it doesn't even matter in the end because they are real things now. And this is what we that's our power. We create things and we can create them now, right? You can say, I'm
Right.
going to create my own God, my own demon, my
It's
own.
what your mind believes it to be.
Yeah. Like an exercise that's really good. Let's say you have a part of yourself that you don't like, right? I don't know, You're argumentative. There's mine. You're argumentative, right? Now, one of the exercises I could do when using magic, we will create a circle of protection. And then one of the things we'll do is I can now imagine an image that represents my argumentativeness. So it
Hmm.
might be a little being that has like little arrows that point out every once in a while or something, right? And it's just spiky and it's like whatever, right? To me that would be, let's say, my representation of this is when I become argumentative. Well, I now create that being. I give that being the argumentative powers that I have, if you will, that energy,
Hmm.
and then I say, I don't need you anymore. And I imagine, yeah, I forgot an important part. You imagine an umbilical cord between you and the. So you're doing like, when people talk about cord cutting with lovers or people, you're doing the exact same thing, but you're creating a being that represents a part of you that you want to get rid of. And
Hmm.
now you cut the cord and you do again a banishing to say, I banish you from my life, and the being goes away. Now, it's all happening in your imagination, but it does
But you're
create an
making your
impact.
intention clear.
That's it.
You're making your intention to whatever you believe in, God, the universe,
Your own
higher
subconscious,
power,
like
whatever you believe in,
anything.
you're creating that energy. You're
Mhm.
creating that separating of a relationship of the energy cords because of your intention. Your intention is very powerful.
Okay.
Intention is the most important thing with any work you do. When you talking to spirits, when you reading someone psychically, when you're working with magic, intention is very, very important.
It's true. It's very true. Well, it's all intention. It's all learning. I call it magic, but learning spiritual life, learning to be that being is learning to mind your own aspirations,
Hmm.
to mind your own goals and your own, and to know that whatever it is you desire, you're going to go get it. And so but you got to be careful because there's traps, right? We have blinders. I may say I desire to be rich, but I keep on calling, I keep on saying rich people ripped off somebody. Like that's how they got rich, right? Like
Hmm.
no rich person is honest. Well, guess what? I'm probably never going to be rich because if I became rich, I would now view myself as a dishonest person. And that can be troublesome. So inside me, that creates a conflict. But
Hmm.
if we remove those, then what remains is like, yeah, we can.
And then if your path is to experience poverty or whatever that might be, you're not going to become rich by buying lottery tickets.
Yes.
That's why we can't tell you the lottery numbers because we can't
Besides,
change your path,
besides,
you
if you
know?
become rich by winning a lottery ticket, your path was probably becoming poor fast.
Hmm.
Because that's usually what happens.
I would probably say someone that wins the lottery, even though sitting on the outside looking in, it seems like yeah, that would be great, to be rich and
No,
everything. But someone that
I don't
wins
think
the
so.
lottery, that it's hurtful for a person.
Well, number
I
one,
don't think I
if
would ever want to win the lottery.
even from a money standpoint, right? Like people don't understand. People are always thinking like, "Oh, if I could make my first million," right? And it's like, "Yes, your first million is the easy one. Then you have to maintain millions. Now that's a whole nother story because you,
Right.
you got to continue making millions. If you want the big house, you're going to have a mortgage, and that mortgage is going to require more millions to get. Now, the good news is you've acquired the skill of making millions. Okay, great. But it's a skill like any other skill, right? I've known rich people, I've talked to them, and their lifestyle, I was not willing to do for myself in order to have that benefit because I was like, no, you know what? And even some of them that I knew, they were scaling back on what they were doing because they were like, well, I don't have time anymore. I have money, I have a lot of crap, but like they didn't. So if you have a purpose for money, money will appear.
Hmm.
That's the way I look at it. Like whenever I've had a need for
If
something,
I think it's because it has to do with the worrying part too. Like if you're not necessarily worried about it because you just believe it's going to work out, then it's going to work out.
that's the faith bit. That's that faith that when see that's the thing. All right, here's where I think there's a bit of a disconnect with people because people get told like you have to have faith in God, right? And so for them, it's like I need to have faith in this being that's going to decide for me. And that is all a little weird, right? Like anybody feels uneasy about that one, going like, okay, why is there this being sitting on a throne telling me that what? But it's not per se God, it's yourself too.
Hmm.
It's not so much that you're giving faith to God. You're just it's just the universe is built in a way where you're going to be okay.
Hmm.
Trust that. Call it whatever you want. Doesn't matter. Doesn't it's not a being that's doing anything. It's just the universe works that way. And if you have faith that the universe works that way, it does because it just does. It cannot not work that way. But if you don't have faith, then what you're going to do is when the universe is when you're following the flow of the river and it's taking you right, you're going to be trying to swim left like crazy and well, yeah, you're going to fight. But if you let the universe take you through life like where once you once you get a certain amount, I mean obviously there's a lot of work to do, okay? A lot of the stuff I speak of, it requires a lot of work before you get there, right? Like you have to start at the bottom, start meditating, start going through the motions, like learning, to deal with energy, learning to look at yourself, to calm yourself, to breathe, to all those things are at the basis because once you've accomplished those things, now everything else in the universe is going to slow down with you. And you're going to be able to listen to the signs that the universe sends you.
And
And
yeah.
it just really does. Everything slows down and goes, okay, wait a minute. And now you start doing things in a purposeful manner, right? And that's all there is to it is start again, I have a hard time because I'm thinking of the ego now, but like start looking at yourself as you're the number one priority in your life. Like, why would you not be number one priority in your life? You're you're the center
You're
of
the
that
only one
life.
responsible for your own happiness.
Like you're the center of that story. Wherever you go, there's going to be one person that's always going to be there. It's always going to be there. It's always going to narrate in your head. So you might as well acknowledge it and say, "Hey, what about that person?" We care for everybody else around us and then we don't even take 5 seconds in a day to go, "How am I doing?" Right? Like how are everybody like please in the chat, like anybody, how you doing today? Have you stopped today and said, "How are things?" Am I stressed out? Am I nervous? Am I like this morning? I had to. I went like, oh my god, look at me! I'm breathing fast. I'm like super super edgy. Whatever. I was very anxious, and I said, okay, well, wait a minute. I have to go do my meditation. I have to go, and so I went and I took time by myself, and I went and I calmed and I lowered my breathing and I started breathing rhythmically, and so all of a sudden, my entire day became a very different day than what it was just moments before, right? But if we don't pay attention to that, we go through life just fucking breathing like we're constantly like on stress. It's it's a problem with humans.
Okay. So if you're here with us, interact with us in the comments, please. Um, if you're catching the replay, we still want you to interact with us in the comments. We love hearing from you, answering questions. We will interact with each of you who interacts with us. We will not ignore you.
Unless let me check though, just to make sure that we're not having the same problem we had last time where they were interacting with us and we weren't aware. Let me just go try to see on the actual website here. Uh, okay.
You want me to do the break commercial or no?
I don't see. Yeah, you might as well. While I'm
Okay.
checking. Yeah.
We have a 1 minute break commercial and then we'll be right back.
And we're back.
Okay, we're back. All right. So before the break, let me get the comments up.
So we be talking about love, but the
We were
big
talking
love.
about love, talking about intentions and a little bit of
Rocking the universe.
positivity.
Rocking the universe. We're talking about making stuff happen in your life. Anybody
Yeah.
for that? Anybody good for?
Manifestation. Anybody have any stories of something they've manifested besides Frank and me?
I have manifested Frank and me. We manifested each other. That works. See, that's how it works, dude. Like, okay, all right. Here's what. Did I just say, dude? Um,
Yeah. Chick. Yep. Chick.
it's because I'm wearing my necklace. Um, so here's how it works. Um, yeah, now I got totally missed. I messed it up because of my
We
bees now.
were
Because
talking
of the
about
whole comment.
manifestation.
I know. I just kind of totally went off like because I went in the dude part. But
Okay, so
I'm sure it was very meaningful though. So manifestation. Okay. All right. Number one. Okay. There's something that's very important that everybody forgets. All right. That's the part that if you want to manifest things. All right. The way the energy works, the way it travels, right? It goes from very, very, very pure energy, like pure God source, blah blah energy,
hmm
and then it kind of makes its way into denser and denser and denser energy. Now, if you want to affect, like where we want to affect changes is in the the astral and the energetic levels, not so much in the like in matter. We can't change matter, but what we need to do when we want to change something in the ether, we have to release an energy because the basic concept of nothing can be gained, nothing can be lost, like applies here. And so whether you're burning incense, whether you're this is where the concept of sacrifice comes from. Right? This is where people hear of magic and they think like, oh, sacrifices with goats and with yes, those things did exist in the past, and but it's because the concept of sacrifice itself exists. But you could be sacrificing a stick of incense. It's okay.
Hmm.
You don't have to bring goats into your house, and
Right.
but you could be sacrificing food. You could be like, that is also why you see people bringing grain, and the grain eventually goes bad, but it's they're offering to the altar.
It's just
Be-
like, where's my sage? It's just like you have this stick of sage, and you say you're gonna light it because you got negativity in your house, and you're gonna, do this and that with the sage. You can get rid of that negativity with your mind, but having this item, and I burn sage too, for the same thing,
Mhm.
same reason. But having this item and talking to this item and saying, I want you to get rid of the negative energy, and I light it and I put it around my house. My intention is what's getting rid of that negative energy. I'm using this item as
But it's more than the item, though. The burning of it is
yeah,
important, like
the
super
smoke,
important.
right?
It, yeah, but it's not the smoke. It's this. It's because you're sacrificing something in the physical
Hmm.
and releasing an
It
energy.
into the right
So you're now creating a space for that new energy that you want to come
to
in.
come in,
But unless
right?
there's a sacrifice, the new energy has nowhere to go
Hmm.
because you already have that space filled. So anytime you want to do anything to bring something in your life, there has to be some sacrifice of energy. This is why ceremonial magic is the way it is, because it's huge ceremony. A lot of energy gets released in the ceremony itself in order to release energy so that it can be refilled. That's why we do circles of protection. That's why we do all those things, right? Because we clear a space, we remove all the energy from it, and
Hmm.
then we call whatever energy we want, and it comes in and fills the space that we've now created. That's where all the circles and the banishings and all that stuff. It's not
Hmm.
because anything dangerous and crazy is going to come at you, because everything is inside you. So it's all good. There's nothing dangerous coming at you. And people, look, 99.9% of the time, I can answer you right away. No, you do not have somebody that put a spell on you. Okay? Just so we're clear.
Especially if someone's telling you that you owe them a lot of money.
Yes, indeed. Yes, give me money. I will remove that spell. Look, like somebody that literally has had someone put a spell. Number one, putting a spell on somebody would requires a lot of effort, and the only way to verify that a spell to do something wrong to someone has worked is that something wrong will happen to you. And so, like, the universe has a way of balancing things. So anybody that would want to do something to someone would either be stupid or have to consider it, because something will happen to them if they
It's
have
kind
the
of
power to do it.
like in with spells, they say that whatever spells you put out into the universe, you're gonna get three times fold.
Mhm.
Well,
And
let's
it is.
compare. Let's just let me. I'm trying to. In my head, I know what I want to say, but you know how hard it is to come out.
Go ahead.
So, so let's take this idea of the spell that you will get three times fold, and then let's take the idea of my mind's going blank. Wait up. I know what I want to say. Continue. Let me
Well, so far you're going with the
get it
threefold
together.
law, which is a very, very accurate. And when it comes to
Yeah.
magic, that's the thing. If you are going to try to hurt somebody or if you are going to do things, yes, it will come back threefold and now and fast. And like that's how people that do black magic, that's how they know their spells work, because something happens to them. I
So
always
what
thought
I
that was
want to
so
compare
twisted.
that to before I forget again is karma. Um,
Yes.
karma, whatever you put out is coming back to you. If you put out love, even when there's hate, and this is where forgiveness comes in, okay? Like someone hurts you, um, which something that could be considered unforgivable, and you decide to forgive that person, you're putting out the good energy. You don't have to get back at somebody for hurting you because it's going to come back to them either way. But if you actually retaliate and go outside of love, then what's going to happen is you're going to get it, that karma, or that threefold, if you were to be using witchcraft, like whatever energy it is, it's coming back.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So for the only way for you to have to be rich, to have nice things, is to be happy for the people that do have it, the things that you don't, and to put your good energy out by donating. If you have old clothes, donate it to the Goodwill or whatever. Put your effort out to help, and it's going to come back to you three times fold. Your karma, your good karma, is going to hit you back in the face.
Yeah, the problem is it could do it in three lifetimes, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, but
It
we're
depends
no
on
matter
what
what.
karma you have to work.
Yes, definitely. No matter what, we're going to come back. So whether it be this lifetime or the next lifetime, you don't want to keep living shitty lives. You eventually want it to be great.
You
So
want
start
it to be
putting in
good.
that work in this lifetime.
Yes. But that's the whole thing is and there are going to be immediate returns anyways. Like I
And
mean,
that's how you can tell an old soul from a young soul. An old soul would be someone that is very loving, caring, does for people, helps people, um does not try to have retaliation for things. That's an older soul because they've lived many lives and had all the shitty things, and it just got old to them. It's kind of like when you got someone that gossips and it just kind of gets old and you just don't want to hear it anymore. It's the
I like
same
the
thing.
example.
So so as the soul lives many lives, it wisens up and little
Hmm.
things don't bother it. Now, when you got a young feisty one, a young soul,
A
it's gonna
young
be a
feisty
feisty
one.
one. It's gonna be a feisty one. It's gonna be one that's a troublemaker, like a trouble, someone that is has not learned yet and began to awaken. Because it can take many lifetimes to awaken.
Oh god,
I
yeah.
mean, you can awaken in this lifetime. Don't get me wrong, but let's just say when I say it takes many lifetimes to be awakened, I don't believe I'm fully awakened.
Well, I
So
think we awaken multiple times. Like we awaken
yeah,
like there's a certain point where your soul reaches a point in one life where um it reaches an awakening and then it continues on a spiritual path or whatever
hmm
and reaches a certain point. Then it comes back the next life and for some reason immediately it starts aiming for that awakening because it knows it exists, right? So it's now trying to find another life to provoke it as quickly as possible so that it can now go through the learning that comes after, right?
hmm
Like this is how I feel because I started excessively young and it sometimes it doesn't even make sense to me how young I started going like must find this stuff and it turned really fast into must find magic and I don't know why. Like I was asking everybody around me, everybody, and it's like yeah, I suspect my soul had experienced it before and said okay, that's the stuff, like we got to go get that like now because if we get it now by the time we reach the end of our life we'll have done more, right? Like
hmm
it's the quick. And so each life you go through sort of the same process but you're going through it quicker and quicker and quicker until you go through the entire thing in one life, right? And then at that point you get the choice of either ascending or helping other humans do it.
hmm
And then the next life you either come back as an ascended master, you either there's different things that can happen but you can become an ascended master, you can
I mean, that's
become
way
a
up
guide,
there.
but
Like
yes
Jesus is
that's
an ascended master.
yes.
Let's give that example. So, like,
um
don't think y'all all gonna turn good and come back as an ascended master, because Yeah,
Well, no, and even then, you don't even have to, right? You may ascend. You may simply ascend and not come back or not become. Um, yeah, there's options at that point, and it's a little different. It's
but you can be a spirit guide, like one's guide helping someone.
the guides are more like a part of your soul almost. They're like the ascended masters are somewhat humans, if you will. Like they're like they understand humanity. The guides are they're more like personal. They're more like your guide has no use for me. You know what I mean? The ascended masters are there for all of humanity to follow. But our spirit guides are there just for us.
Right.
That's well, I mean that's a
Now
it's a
our guides
very
can work together if we
yes.
get together and ask. Um,
That's
if
interesting.
we
Yeah,
if we ask, they can work together
for sure. Why not?
for us. But technically, they're just here. Mines are here for me. His are here for him.
Well, and again, we're making all of it up. So really, we're creating all of it. It's funny, right? Because we argue the minute details of it, right? And it's like it's all created by humans. So
Hmm.
okay, sure, argue the details. Who cares? Like they don't matter. They don't matter. What detail do you like? Good, go with that one. You know what I mean? Like okay, so like people will do stuff like
Like I
you
was
know
like, Frank, do you think it's bad if I smoke on live? And he was like, do you think it's
good, bad.
bad?
I
I'm
don't know.
like, no, no,
Okay,
whatever.
good and
It's
bad
like
is such a
whatever. It's like
good.
if I believe that my fingernails are white and he says they're black, we both right.
It's a beautiful white. I mean, you know, sure. It's not any white I've ever seen, but it's a beautiful white. Um, I used to say like if a client asks me to put their hardwood with the finish side down, I mean, sure, why not? Whatever. If that's how you like it, like, what am I gonna do? Argue with you that you're wrong and you're
You won't have warranty, but
yeah. Well, that's it. Yes, we may have a conversation about the manufacturer may not like that you've installed it this way, but you know what I mean. In the end, like, who cares? Like it. Life is so fluid. It changes so fast. It we have so little control over it, and we're all here like trying to control it all, and that's the worst approach. That
hmm
is the worst approach. The minute you try to control life, you start suffering. That's it. That's the answer. You know, the answer to suffering, it's pretty much that. Stop trying to control your life and you'll stop suffering.
hmm
Because life, even if you take away that control, even if you give it away, life will not bring you somewhere bad. It will bring you, especially if you let go that control, life will bring you somewhere good. Because it aims to bring you somewhere good. It aims to, but you gotta let it. You gotta free yourself from yourself. And that's tough. That's not easy.
yeah, it's very tough.
So
It's
how do
easy
we
to
do that?
say.
We got to give people more practical stuff, more like I assume anyways. Do you guys want to we have people a couple of people listening
I
anyways.
mean, the
Like
easiest
do
way to
people
do it
want
is to
technical
distance
stuff?
yourself from people. Honestly,
No. No,
in a
people are
way, yeah.
wonderful. Well, no, cuz people will all teach you
Well,
stuff.
no, people are wonderful. People teach you stuff, but if you have someone that can't like open up enough to allow that person to think that my nails are white, then you may want to like go on your alone time so you can like not have to prove yourself to somebody. If that makes sense. Like if you're a person that feels like you
Well, my
need to
first
prove
question
you're
is what
right,
was that person doing in your life? Why did you let
well,
them in?
that's the thing. That's the whole thing.
Because
People
that's the true
sometimes are the
question. No, but
problem.
that's the thing, though. That is the true question. The true question is not about them. It's not about what they did and what they do. The question is, if there's a prick in my life and he's being a prick, why did I let a prick in my life? If I
Well,
don't let pricks in my life, guess what happens? Nobody's a prick in my life. Nobody. Why? Because I don't let those kinds of people in my life. So
but
when I
people
see
have
them,
to
when I
sometimes.
identify them, I say, go away. And they go, what do you mean, man? And I go, because you're that kind of person. Go away. I don't want you in my life.
Sometimes people have to figure that it takes a while to figure that out though, because a lot of people are
Boundaries? Yeah.
like, yeah, but a lot of people are brainwashed into believing certain things by their family as they grow up. And then let's say they have a prick for a cousin, and they their family was very tight knit and believe that you stick together or whatever, and then they just kind of like don't know how to release that relationship because of how they were taught growing up.
That's why life is the way it is. That's the puzzle.
Yeah,
That's the puzzle. It's how do we. You know what? Everybody's focused on trying to learn the thing that's going to get them a spiritual life. No, the thing that's going to get you a spiritual life is to unlearn all the garbage you learned when you were a kid. That's what's going to
definitely.
free you. It's like if you're in a hot air balloon, right? And you're going like maybe if I add a little bit of heat, it'll go up better, but it's stuck in concrete. And it's like, no, you need to chip away at the concrete. You've got flame. You're good. The flame is there. You're already thinking in the right direction. Now all you got to do is remove the concrete that's wrapped around your feet, and let your wings do the rest. You're already, you know what I mean? Like you're already
Yeah,
taking off. You just
it's
got to
hard.
remove that crap.
It's hard to unlearn things you were taught. It takes some work, but
It
it's so
requires hurting
freeing in
people.
the end.
It
It
requires
does.
hurting people. It requires hurting yourself. It
But going
requires.
hand in hand with hurting people, that's where you learn to love yourself.
Hmm.
Because you have to
And
love yourself enough to be able to let those people go.
And through that though, that's the nice part is as you learn to love yourself, as you start exploring how to make strong boundaries and how to make them know, and that becomes a strength. At first you think like, "Oh my god." And yes, people around you, somebody gave me one of the best advices ever, and on top of it, that person became the very first person I tested it on. But he said, "If you want to know if somebody's toxic, say no to them." Because toxic people don't like it when you say no to them. They freak
Hmm.
out. And oddly enough, that person said that to me, and I was doing a job at their house, and a week later I said no to driving an hour and a half to go fix one window when I had been trying to fix it for 3 weeks. And when I said no, they fired me. And I was like, "You're kidding me? Like, really?" I'm like, "You're the guy that showed me that." I actually texted him and said that. I said, "Thanks for the tip. It's become useful already." But whatever. And so, but that's the thing, right? Like, but here's what's going to happen at first. You start, okay, boundaries. It's a tough one for everybody. What happens when you start saying no to people, right? Are they going to walk away? Are they going to Yes,
Some will.
that's the messed up part is it's actually going to be true that if you start doing that, people will walk away. What they don't tell you is that there's also going to be new people walking in.
Hmm.
And the people walking away are the people that can't take no. And they suck. And the people walking in are the people that are respectful and will accept you saying no and will actually encourage you to say no when it's no because they want to know who you are. They don't want you to be a tool for what they want in life.
Hmm.
Where the other people, they wanted you to be a tool for whatever they have going. You're not a tool, you're a star. You're an amazing person. So you need to know that. You need to build your fortress, right? Not a fortress in the sense don't block yourself from the world, but like you need to make yourself strong. And it's the oxymoron of boundaries. People are afraid, oh, people won't like me if I start saying no to them, and it's actually quite the opposite because boundaries are it's like giving a map to someone. You're going, here's who I am. Here's what you can and cannot do around me. Here's what will happen if you do it. Here's what will. Now you're clear. Now somebody comes in your house and they know they take off their shoes, let's say, or whatever, right? Let's say you're a house. whatever it is that's going on in your house, you say, okay, this is one of my rules. This is one of my things that, no, I don't let people walk in my house with shoes. And if somebody comes in and says, well, yeah, but I don't take off my shoes, you go, well, great. You can go visit my neighbor. I don't know. Go talk to somebody else. Because this is where my limit is. And I'm not going to start cleaning my house because you want to come in. I don't care. Right?
Hmm. Now,
If
do you do the same thing if it was someone that you invited over?
if it was someone, I mean, okay, there's going to be certain situations where I may say, okay, I'm going to deal with it this time, but I will not invite them again, right? That might be also where I kind of draw the line because depending on the very specifics of the situation. Now, if they're just being an a hole and they just don't want to remove their shoes, even though I don't know. I might not even want to hang out with them at that point. I might just be like, dude, you know what? Like, I mean, if we're at that point, I don't know them that well, probably because, or else they would have been at my house. They would know. We would have already covered that, right?
So what if it's like an insurance person come and sell insurance? Would you make him take his shoes off?
Yeah, probably. I would ask.
Really?
Yeah,
Like a
for sure.
stranger?
Well, not in the house that I'm in right now, but in some houses I've had. Yeah, sure. Yeah, for sure. What? It depends. I mean, don't
Depends on
forget,
your
I
mood.
live in, yeah, but don't forget, I live in Canada. There may be 3 feet of watery slush outside. You
Yeah.
know, you don't come in a house and walk with that, but some people would.
Why don't you just leave a towel by the door so they can dry their feet?
I just don't have that patience. I don't know. It hasn't been an issue. I don't actually invite people at my house much, so it's not an issue. But what I'm saying though is whatever issue, whatever boundary you have, I mean, just yeah, and even if your boundary is, you know what, like I will not have people raise their right hand in my house, then guess what? As dumb as it may be, you're allowed to it. It's your house. Do whatever you want. Who cares? Yes, the neighbors might go, oh, yeah, she's the nut one that doesn't let people raise their right hand, whatever. But I mean, it doesn't matter. It won't even matter. But even then, even being known as the nut person that won't let people raise their right hand, guess what? Somebody might hear that and go, oh, that's totally my kind of person. I should go check her out. Because they like people that don't like raising the right hand. You know what I mean? Like, but that's the thing, right? Like, come at the world being you, the
We need better
strongest that
examples.
you can be. Like, be the most you that you can be, and the people that vibrate with you will stick to you. They'll show up, and the people that don't vibrate with you, they'll leave. Like, they'll vanish.
Hmm.
Either you'll recognize that they don't belong in your life and you'll get them out of your life, or life will find ways. Now, unfortunately, if you leave it up to life, you got to be careful. Every once in a while, it does it through conflicts. It does it through, because it'll find a natural way to get that energy away from you. But if you just push it away and you say, okay, we're done, that's okay. The energy will
Hmm.
go, especially if you're transitioning in two different situations in your life. You'll notice that letting go of certain people will not even be hard. It's like they want to go for some reason.
Yeah, it's
There's a
yeah,
separation that
just grow
happens.
apart.
Yeah, you just kind of, you give a tiny little tug and they just go, oh, okay, bye. And all of a sudden you're like, wow, what's happening? And now you have your new friends that you met, whatever, and you're like, oh, these guys I gel with. What's going on? Well, you've changed. That's what's going on. And now the world is adapting to your change.
Hmm.
Now, just that, like people listening, I'm telling you, listen well to that. You can do those little changes and they affect the world around you. And that is powerful. Like small changes done with purpose, going like, hey, if I change this, what happens? Right? And then looking for feedback and listening for the feedback. If you do this with your life,
And that's why it's
and
important to keep a journal.
yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say, and you journal to try to remember some of it. It's an incredible tool because now you become so aware of your relationship with the world. People tell me it's a weird sentence I use, and it freaks out people because especially I use it with people that have no idea anything I'm talking about. But sometimes people will say, "Well, Frank, how come you're not doing this or something, right? Something weird." And I'm like, "Oh, because that's just not the kind of the kind of relationship I have with the universe." Or they'll be like, "How come you don't get angry at that kind of stuff?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I just don't have that kind of relationship with the universe. We agree with each other." And they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know. You may not get it, but
It's
it's
much
cool
easier
because it is. It's a
because I
relationship."
mean, no matter what it is that you're worried about or you're stressed about, or you allow to stress you out about, you you can't change what it's going to be.
No, you
So
can't.
just, the more you stress about it, the longer you're going to stay in limbo. Just let yourself let it go. And
Well, that's it. Yeah. It the people talk about the vibrations, but they don't like we all those spiritual concepts. That's what drives me nuts. We all talk about them, right? But actually starting to use them is so rare. You kind of go, no, like go for it. Like just trust the universe, have faith. Number one. That's one of the toughest parts, but here's a story about when I was on the streets in Montreal. I had my grandfather's watch, which he had given me. It was worth not a crap load of money, but it was worth like a few $100s or whatever. And my relationship with the universe at that time, I had the conviction that none of my things would ever leave me. I had very few things, right? I was on the street, so I had a bag with a few things. I had a quartz that I carried. I had a little necklace. I didn't have a whole lot of belongings, but for some reason, I could leave my belongings like left, right, and center and come back and I would find them. And the one day I left my watch in the middle of a food court in Montreal, like not in a small city, like in a fairly, good sized city. And we left and we crossed almost, I'd say, like 2/3 of the city going east. And when we were halfway there, my buddy went like, "Oh, dude, where's your watch?" And I was like, "Oh, uh-oh, I think I left it there." And everybody was like, "Okay, well, we can go back, dude. It's your watch. Like, it's important." And I was like, "Nah, you know what? It'll be there." And they all looked at me like, "You're nuts." And I was like, "No, I know, but it'll be there. Like, trust me. My watch and I have that kind of relationship." And we literally came back like 2 hours later, and the watch was sitting right there. And I have no logical explanation. I can't say like, oh, it's because, but it just, I don't know why it worked. It's the same thing. I would be panhandling and I would bum for drugs. And if I met somebody that was panhandling for food and they were having a hard time, I would give them my money because in my head it was an automatic. I had zero doubt that that money would come back to me like super fast. I don't know why. It was like a conviction I had, but I went around and helped people. So it comes back to what you said, right? Whatever you seed is what's going to come back to you. So if you never steal anything, nobody will steal from you. If you don't, but it's not a direct correlation like that though. It's not always like steal. It could be different things, but if you generally live well and mean well and try to help people, yes, your life will actually improve. And just give people love. The people that hurt you, even, yeah, you can love those people. It sounds freaky, but once you learn to forgive, that's another big key. Learn to forgive. Like I think that can't be underestimated, like overestimated. Like learning to forgive is gonna be one of the most powerful keys out of that whole set. Like what that does, being able to look at somebody that has hurt you and literally be like, it's okay, I love you, but not forget, not like forgiveness is not the same as making excuses, and this is where people mess it up. People go like, "Oh, you must forgive, like show the other cheek." No, don't show the other cheek. Don't ask the person to hit you again. Are you crazy? Don't let them hit you again. You don't have to hate them. You don't have to carry hate with you because they hurt you. Like, because you're the one carrying the hate, not them. And so, yeah, you can continue loving that person with the love, source love. Like, not loving them like they're not your girlfriend, they're not your boyfriend, but loving them in a universal way. And if you're able to do that and to truly forgive those that have hurt you, you gain a freedom. You gain, you're not, each of the things that your mind attaches itself to, whether it's hating a person, whether it's this thing happened and I need vengeance or whatever, each of those things, they're all going to take real estate in your mind. They're all going to take space inside of you. And that space could be used to bring in positive things. That space could be used, like I said, right? Nothing can be created, nothing can be lost. Now you're filling your temple, right? Like Jesus, we talk sometimes about Jesus. Jesus called it, he said, like, I will rebuild the temple. That's what he was talking about. Our body, we are the temple. And so you got to respect your temple. You got to build it. You got to, you know, we're Anybody want to ask any questions? Anybody want to, anybody have comments about any of this? We have quiet listeners. Do we have any rebels? No? We need more rebels.
So this month we're going to be talking about like I guess feelings a lot. We're not going to set any specific things, but like loving yourself tonight and like grief and um how to deal with it, how to make changes, those sorts of things.
Hmm.
So if anyone has any questions on what we're talking about or any suggestions for what you want to talk about, let us know in the comments. If you don't have suggestions, if you like hearing our subjects, let us know that too. Or you could just say hi.
We also offer services. I coach people and also guide people. And Jill does psychic hypnosis. Yeah, you're more multi-talented than I am. You do many more things. You do tarot. You do readings.
Yeah, I
You
do
go on.
tarot, I do
You tell
readings.
us. And
Okay.
so
Otherwise I guess we'll end the live.
that's it. Yeah, I think
Unless we have something else to go into.
we always have something else to go
Does
into.
nobody have a question?
All right, show of hand. Anybody want us to continue? Come on, you guys. That's worth a like. If you want us to continue. Actually, will we see a like? I'm not even sure. Where are we at?
We had a couple likes on the video earlier.
Shelly Broad
Shelly, bro.
liked our video. Bro? Oh, okay, yeah. All right, that makes sense. That makes total sense.
All right. Well, we will be live again
Well,
Tuesday
that's it.
with a special guest. So be sure to
That's
tune in
true.
at 7 Central, 8 Eastern,
It's
right?
worth mentioning. It's a returning guest, and she was. If you
Yeah,
guys want to watch previously on our episode
2.
number 2. Yeah, that was the second episode,
She was on number
and
2.
yeah, she was our Reiki master in training, which now has become Reiki master, and so we wanted to follow up with that.
She's gotten her licensing in counseling as well.
Nice, nice. Wow,
So
busybody.
yeah, we're gonna have her on to tell us the new things going on, and hopefully those of you that are in need of healing over the holiday season, if you get depressed or whatever, maybe some Reiki will help you out, or maybe something that you hear on our show will help you out. You may maybe she has other ideas. I'm sure she does have other ideas of healing than we do. We all have different
Of course.
ideas.
Of course, and we'd like to hear yours as well. And guys, feel free. Like we've created also. If you guys want to go check out, we created a page too for Live with Jill and Frank. We had at first said that we would keep it for people that subscribe, and then I made the mistake of inviting a bunch of people. So it is now fairly open. Unfortunately, my well,
Um,
I guess
we
it still
both made a
works.
group because I didn't realize you made one. We have to.
Hmm.
That's something we have to fix.
Well, that's
I have,
okay. That doesn't matter. We can keep both.
Frank,
Yes,
we can't. It's too much to answer in both groups. So
you don't have to. You try to
okay,
cancel it. Okay, I'll let you try to cancel the group and see what
why do you
happens.
think it's hard?
Yes.
Oh Lord,
It's like trying to cancel your own account. Like that's nearly impossible.
I could make it private and kick out all the guests.
That's about as good as it gets, though. That's the thing. You can't. Okay, we should probably keep going because we have 5 people with us right now. So
Okay.
I mean, but yeah. So what else could we talk about?
Um, I like to start talking about the holiday season.
What about the holiday season? What's so? All right, go on, go on.
So Frank doesn't have Thanksgiving, so he doesn't understand.
No, we have
Um,
Thanksgiving. It's just at a
yeah, but
different date.
yeah, it's like 2 months before us or something.
Yeah, you guys just have the wrong date.
When we
That's fine.
still celebrating summer, he's having Thanksgiving. So just because most people that follow me do celebrate on Thanksgiving in November and Christmas in December. So I just wanted to keep it like on a healing track for those who are grieving loved ones or um coping with maybe it's your first holiday season without your loved one.
Hmm.
That's the type of people that I would like to reach out to during the holiday season.
Well, for December too, we there's one episode we want to do that I want to do anyways, where I want to talk about empaths and
Empaths.
maybe a little bit of survival tips for the holidays for empaths because
You
it's a
wanna
very
um
very tough
you wanna
time.
start with empaths? Let's get
Yeah,
on the
you
ball with
want to
it.
talk about that? All right, sure. All right, well, let's start with what is an empath, right? Like that's the
Me.
you are an empath. All right, well there you go. So that's an empath. We've covered it now. No. So an empath is all right. Like there's gonna be a lot of versions of this, but here's like I'm gonna try to encompass everything. So an empath is a person that feels other people's emotions. Now it can go a lot deeper than that because I would go as far as to say that we feel other people's energy. Empaths either some people again theorize that empaths are born that way, and then other people theorize that we develop the skill. Now I think it's both. I think it's actually a bit of both. Because I know for myself, like we always say, like empaths are okay. So how does this work, right? Let's not go too far. Let's continue with what's an empath. So if we enter a room with a whole bunch of, let's say I go to my neighbor's house and there's like all the kids and the wife is there and whatever, and something happened to one of the kids. Whatever happened, I don't know. They got really hurt and they're very hurt emotionally. For some reason, the whole time I'm there, I'm gonna actually there's a chance that I will feel that emotion. Now, that's where people talk about trained and untrained empath. Untrained empath, we tend to walk around the world and we're bombarded with a whole bunch of emotions. Like stuff will happen, like okay, things that happen to me
Stressed
in my
out all the
life.
time.
Sitting
Worried
in a
about
bus and start
something.
crying for no reason,
Yeah.
right? Walking through a mall and
Just
feel like
because
you want to
the
kill
people's
yourself.
faces look sad, you
Hmm.
just become sad.
It's and so but that's the theory, right? Is it because we perceive micro, small signs, or is it because we feel it, right?
You
Um,
feel it.
I think it's both because ever since I've known I've been an empath, I try to look at how do I know? Because we always say we're lie detectors, right? Because when people lie to us, we can kind of tell. part of that one, I've noticed in the last few years, I'll notice a little something on the person, and I'm like, oh my God, that's probably what I've noticed my whole life. I just didn't know. But also, I think we're born that way. Now, the implication of being born that way is way bigger than most empaths will actually realize. Because most of us, again, come from broken families. Now, here's the deal. If you're in a broken family with, let's say, you're alone with two parents, and those parents are completely messed up, and they go through a range of emotions that are completely disturbing and would not even be that easy to understand for an adult, but now you're an empath child thrown into that mix and you feel all of their emotions, except you don't have a point of reference as to what does this mean? What is that emotion? What does it How do you comprehend hatred between two people that are half killing each other when you're a baby? Like, you can't understand it. And so as empath, immediately we're thrown into this weird vortex of like, what the heck's going on in this world? And so it can take a long time. And where the holidays get hard is that a lot of people suffer in the holidays. A lot of people, it's not a happy time for everybody. Some people suffer in the holidays. And
So that
empaths,
that sadness can be in the air, and
yeah,
people can pick that up,
yeah,
just like a
empaths can
virus.
literally pick that up. Like, here's a good example. I always use the same example that happened to me in the pandemic, but here's an example of what can happen to an empath. I went to Walmart at the beginning of the pandemic when we started wearing the masks and like, having the arrows in the grocery stores and at Walmart and everywhere. And I went in, and halfway through shopping, like, I just couldn't even do it. I just, like, everywhere, all the energy from everybody in the place was like one of despair, of like confusion, of like, it was such a heavy feeling. I had to walk out. I went and sat in my van, and I just started bawling, and I just bawled for like 3 4 minutes, and then I was like, okay, cool. And then but I had to remind myself. I was like, yeah, but I was having a perfect day before I came here, so it's not me. It's not my emotion. But this is where it gets tough, because you feel it's yours. So you're like, what's going on with me? Why am I crying? What's happening with me? Oh my God, my life is coming. No, your life is perfectly fine. The person right beside you is having a hard time. But as long as we don't learn to differentiate the two, right? And that's where it gets tricky. People go, okay, how do I differentiate the two? How do I know what's my emotion? What's the other person's emotion? Like, how do I undo that mess? And sadly, that's the hard part. That's the part that requires a lot of work, because you have to deal with your traumas and your shadows. Because the reason those emotions feel so personal to you is because they're waking up those things. And so you now pick up somebody else's emotion, and that emotion is tied to a trauma that you had when you were smaller. So all of a sudden, like, you're feeling this rush of, oh my God, you have no idea what's going on. Now, if you've dealt with your traumas, you feel the emotion, you feel the trauma coming up, and you go, wait a minute,
You
something's
know,
wrong. This is not happening to me. This is happening, okay, it's happening to someone. I don't know who, but whatever. Let's just let it go. And then you have to learn to ground and to shield. Because through grounding, you're now able to take that emotion and learn to let go of it and say, no, no, I give this back to the earth. That's not mine to take. Now, when that happens, empaths become excessively powerful beings. And I believe that this is my own personal belief with empaths, but I think we have a task on Earth, and part of our task is actually to be used as a heat sink. Like, it's a weird example, but we're a heat sink for emotions. So when there's too much going on, all of a sudden, when people wouldn't be able to handle it, the empaths in proximity or whatever, if you know what I mean, will actually start feeling those emotions in order to dissipate from the one person that had way too much energy. And so I think that that kind of we tie into the world in that sort of way sometimes. But unless we learn to do it safely and to do it right, and we need to heal. We're healers. We have to heal people. We just have to not destroy ourselves in the process
Hmm.
because we do that. We'll let ourselves go to complete ruins over trying to help other people, and that's a tough one. That's a very dangerous thing with the empaths.
Yeah. So a lot, most people are empathic in some to some degree.
I'd say most
Um.
people aren't. No, they have some empathy,
Oh,
but they're not empathic.
to some degree, I said. Um. I mean, it's something that we can build on by with love. You know, allowing yourself to love and loving more.
I Yeah, if I had not dealt with a bunch of people unable to have empathy, I wouldn't say, but yeah, some people just do not have it. Some people are unable of it. They're disabled and they can't have empathy. Like narcissists have zero empathy. They're just not able to show empathy, right? So, and that's the problem we have with them. We have empaths tend to be we call ourselves magnets. Okay, here's something. Let's set the record straight with one thing with empaths. Everybody's always like, oh, we're magnets for narcissists. No, we're not. We don't bring them to us any more than the rest of the population. We just happen to be the only people that let them in. Everybody else closes their door and goes, oh, you're one of those, and they let him go away. We go, oh, hi, how are you? And we start listening to them and we start loving them and we start going like, oh, you seem like such a nice person. Oh, you have struggles. Yes, I can see you have struggles. Well, yeah, okay, guess what? Yes, they have struggles. They will friggin' destroy you not dealing with those struggles. So, yeah, go away. But because we're empaths and we want to help everybody, we're like, oh, that person seems like they need my help a lot. Yes, they do. But they don't want your help. They don't want anybody's help. They want to rule the world. So, sorry. Not going to happen. But they may be a good learning opportunity for you. That's usually what they are. That's what they were for me. I had a lot of interesting relationships.
How do you think being an empath has affected your life?
Oh God, um, how has it not? Is more the question. Like it's insane. It's in every crevice of my life. Like I mean, I had abusive parents. Like yeah, my family life was pretty messed up, and dealing with those emotions to begin with, like it. I don't know. I spent most of my life like being excessively confused, so I did not have a running map. Like I didn't have anything that I could gauge myself on. Like it was really I learned things from like so many weird different sources that like it wasn't. Don't get me wrong. My parents taught me some useful stuff. Like they weren't completely disabled, but due to the way I was responding, that was one of the things it did to me, I guess. The fact that I was an empath and I was hypersensitive and I was like, everything that happened around me, like, it destroyed me. It totally crushed me. And so I had to come back from that. But to me, that's a gift I received. It's not like, I don't know. I wouldn't go through any other life. That's the life I needed, and that's the life I went through, and that's what brought me to where I am today. So I don't want to like to me I wouldn't change a single thing out of that life. Not a single one. All the suffering, all the craziness, all the it was all worth it. It was all part of a path. And there's more.
Yeah,
There's more freakiness coming.
but sometimes it's hard for people to see the the worthiness, you know,
Because
especially as
while you're
they're
still
going through it.
fighting, Well, while you're still fighting, like I say, right? Like an empath that's coming in from the cold, that's going like, "Oh my God, okay, I think I'm an empath," and they haven't learned any kind of control on nothing, right? I was lucky because before I even knew I was an empath, I did meditation, I did energy work, I did all of those things. Like when I learned magic and started doing protection circles, I mean, if there's ever one type of shielding that's going to work, it's going to be doing a full out protection circle that. And so I never realized that I was taking care of me being an empath at the same time as I was accomplishing these things. So when I came in from the empath door, I kind of went, oh, okay, well, why are these people having such a hard time? What's going on, right? Because I had had that hard time earlier, but I never put two and two, right? I didn't know it was being
Right.
an empath. And so I went, oh, okay, well, wait a minute. And then same thing happened. Everybody was like, oh, you need to ground, you need to ground, you need to ground. And I was like, I don't get why are they so focused on this grounding thing? Like, what is happening? And then I realized one day I went, oh, it's because I'm a Taurus. I have no problems grounding. Like I am grounded like nonstop. I mean, people come to me so I can calm them and they can become grounded. And so for me, I had never had that issue. Like giving things to the earth is just like it's like I have a permanent connection. I mean, I'm rooted. I'm the slowest thing to move because of it.
Yeah, you'd even live in the I want to say the swamp, but the
The
forest if you
forest. Oh
could.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. I would. I would. It's like this connection to earth is so it was like, oh, that's why they all say they need that and I don't feel I need it. And then I learned like, okay, yeah, yeah, that's how I do it. And now I can show people how to do it for themselves as well, right? Like it's
Hmm.
so all those techniques are so important. Like even journaling, you say journaling, like people discard that kind of stuff. They go, journaling, whatever, whether I write it, whether I don't write it. No, the fact of sitting for X amount of time per day and
And getting it
saying,
out.
what's going on in my life, right? How often, like, truly stop right now,
It
people. Like,
it
ask
almost
yourself,
is like it lets the energy of like even if it's something negative fall out through that pen when you're writing it down.
yes, it exteriorizes it. That's how magic works, right? Like when we say we created the gods or we created all those figures, that's what we did. We took an energy that exists inside us and we gave it form. When we write, we're doing the same thing to a lesser extent. We're externalizing what's going on. And then now we can look at it outside of us and say, oh, that's what's going on. That's what I got to do. And even if you don't see it immediately, for some weird reason, in the following days, something happens.
Hmm.
A good friend of mine calls it doing a brain dump, right? Like if all of a sudden you reach that point in life where like everything's confusing, there's too much going on, whatever, like she'll say to me, she'll be like, "Oh, do a brain dump," and I'm like, "Oh crap, yeah," because yeah, you just write everything that's going on. So you're going like, "Oh my god, I gotta do groceries. I gotta do this is driving me nuts. I gotta pick up the kids. I don't like that. I gotta do this. I gotta visit my brother-in-law. I gotta blah blah blah. This thing's driving me nuts. Oh my god, I'm so angry at my brother who did blah blah blah." And you just shove it all on paper, and all of a sudden you finish, and you're like, "Okay, wow, okay, I feel good now." It works, people. Try it. Like just literally try it. All those tiny exercises, they all seem dumb by themselves, but the impact they have is incredible. My
Yeah.
gratitude book, I mean, to this day, like that thing, I think saved my life, like for sure. Um, Learning to write about yourself, learning to look at yourself, just stopping, learning to breathe, right? Like why do we think you spend your life? How much time does the average person spend thinking about how am I going to decorate my house versus how long do they spend going like how am I going to fix my insides, the way I think, the way I feel? Like if you spend as much time as you spend on what am I going to do with my backsplash, then wow, you would already be doing amazing. but we never do. Like as humans, it's like we've never. I think I have a theory that at some point they tried to hide it from us actively. But yeah, at this point, we have nobody going like, "Hey, how about I, look at myself and take time and slow down and breathe and make sure that my like at any time during the day you can stop and go, how's my muscles? Are they tense? Oh, crap, they're tense. What do I do? Okay, well, relax them, right? And then you just kind of just relax your muscles. Well, just doing that, even if it's 3 seconds, do it 4 or 5 times a day. Guess what? In a month, you're not the same person. Things have changed because you now force your
It's just like
body
when they tell
into
you
a relaxed
to like
state
take deep breaths because you're angry or upset or
or
in
anxious.
pain, or whatever the reason is, they'll tell you to take deep breaths.
Hmm.
So they do that because it actually relaxes you and that makes you feel better. Imagine
Yep.
if you're not um actually in pain, or you're not actually mad at something or anxious, and you just do it just because you want to get in the practice of doing it. Imagine how more even and
It
pleasant your
it
life will
changes
be.
life. It changes life big time. Now everything else, right? We all like we look at all the situations in our lives, right? And we're like, okay, this is happening at work, and this is la da da da. And it's like if you take that small moment once, twice, whatever, like do a meditation, if you will, in the morning, and then during lunch, whatever, stop 5 minutes. Just go, oh, okay, wait up, what's happening now? Okay,
And
let
if
me
you don't
close
have
my
5
eyes
minutes,
and,
do 3.
whew, okay.
Whatever time you can do
Yeah, it
will help
doesn't
you.
matter as long as you stop and think about yourself. Think like, how am I doing today? Am I feeling good? Am I Because we never ask.
And
Everybody's
then you
told
can
us
work
we
yourself
didn't
up.
matter. Everybody in your life said you don't matter, right? When we're kids, adults, that's the one thing I reproach most adults, that is when kids come up, we tell them you don't matter. We constantly tell kids you don't matter, and kids grow up and become adults that go, I don't matter. That's what we're creating, right? Because kids come up and yeah, kids say
Give
stupid
them an
stuff.
example,
They're
Frank,
kids.
because
Guess
I
what?
have a feeling these like people are mostly thinking like, no, I didn't tell that to my kid.
Well, I
So
push
give
it. It's because I push it to an extreme because kids come to us with stuff, right? They come to us and they go, "Oh, look, I've reinvented. Look, I can walk to the moon or whatever it is," right? Like if we
But
look back
just
in
by
our
not
own life,
allowing children to have choices, I'm guilty of it myself. About I'm not saying they shouldn't have
yeah, put
rules
on
and,
this
and this and
shirt.
that, but by not allowing them to have like basic choices, it's telling them that they can't.
Yeah.
It's
What
telling them
what
that,
is
you
so
know,
wrong with asking your kids, "What would you like for dinner?" It doesn't even mean you have to make it. They might say, "We want slushy." And you go, okay, great. Well, I'm glad to know you want slushies. We may look at doing them for, on the weekend for a snack, but dinner, we're going to have something different. Like, how about we try this? Oh, okay, that'd be great. Oh, okay, great. Right? But the fact that you've engaged in conversation and you made them important, that makes all the difference. That makes them go, oh, I matter, right? And we're all coming into this going like, "Oh my God, I got hammered my entire life that I didn't matter, that what I thought was not good, that what I put my own personal my personal spiritual life in my shadows when I was younger because everybody looked at me like, no, this is wrong. Like you're messed up, kid. That's not good. Like that's no." And so for me, like being spiritual was something I hid. It was ridiculous. I mean, like, it is so me. It is like, like 99% of me is my spiritual life. And yet, that part of me was hidden. So, we need to release those things at first. That's how we get into. So it's. You bring in new things, you release old things. That's the process. That's
what
how
the
we do it.
what
Oh, yay,
Frank?
we have,
What is
we
that?
have,
What is that, Frank?
I think we picked up a garbage. I don't know. Block user. There we go. And Let's remove. Okay, block you. Put user in timeout.
No, block 'em.
I don't know what the hell that is, but okay, they're blocked.
This is not a
We're
sex
good.
line.
Host. Oh, you cried? Is that
I
you?
didn't say nothing. I didn't
What
do.
is that?
That might
Host.
be Heather. We got three people in here. Why we got another guest? Heather's here,
Heather, is it you?
bro. We got a ghost in the house.
Do we have Heather with us? But her microphone came on for a second. She tried to say hi, I think.
I
Heather.
don't think I accidentally shared the
Let's
link
do it.
somewhere.
Let's do like we were, when you're kids and you're trying to do a séance or whatever. Heather, are you here with us?
Heather, are you here? Hello,
Heather,
Penelope.
if you're here with us, change the screen. It'll work.
Seriously, bro, I'm not in the room. Like, is that you in here twice?
No, it's not. Oh, maybe. Why am I here twice?
It says your name.
Yeah, why would I be here twice? Well, no, but it's because whenever whoever comes in after me, they'll take my
It's
name
me,
unless they
not the
modify
sex.
it.
You blocked Heather. She was the sex person.
What?
Look at
How?
your messages. Look at the messages.
Well, how did we get sex find
Host. Who
XYZ?
is the
That's
host?
ridiculous.
It's me, not the sex photo, though. Oh, it is Heather, but
Okay,
she's
yeah,
not the
yeah.
sex photo.
Oh, okay. She's not the one sending us porn. Okay, we're good. Oh God. Seriously.
Heather, did you see the porn? The. I mean, did you click on it, Heather?
Right, no porn from me, she says. And hi Penelope as well. I didn't say hi, so but yeah. God. We
It's
have
me, not the
ghosts.
sex photo. Oh gosh, that was funny.
So it's our friendly ghost Heather.
Okay, we're gonna just find out after. Like, I'm just once. I don't know how she came in because it's showing R for you.
No,
Like
R is
it's
her.
how is she R? Why she's R?
What do you mean? Well, because she came in after me, so she's probably the same.
R though?
I
It
don't
should
know.
be H. None of
It
us are
doesn't
R.
matter. It does matter. I don't know why it says that, but it does. All right.
Okay. So back to
Hey,
that was
okay,
funny.
check it out. Check it out. I had an epiphany today. Um,
What?
so because you sent me Jill. By the way, Jill is the nicest person in the world. She sent me a whole bunch of like crystals and stuff, and like wow. Okay, you got to tell me though. Was that one? Did you put set intention on that one?
No, I didn't.
Okay,
I
because it
didn't.
felt different. It felt very different. The minute I unwrapped it, I was like, okay, that's carrying some energy, but it was a positive energy. But it was like, okay. So either you were thinking of something when you handled it, or there's
Maybe.
something that was in it.
I
It
don't
was like,
remember.
but it was
But
positive. It wasn't bad. But anyway, but as I was contemplating the crystals having come from you, something came to me. I was like, oh my god.
thank
So
Heather too.
now,
She went to the post office for me.
well, no, but check it out. Okay, so crystals, like assuming we go with the theory, crystals have their own vibration and they influence things in a certain way.
Hmm.
Now, in the last, I don't know, 100 years or whatever, we have been moving crystals around on the planet by shipping it around left, right, and center. And so every time we do that in some way, we're influencing the vibration of the planet.
Definitely.
Now, what impact it has, what impact it doesn't, I have no idea. But I was like, wow, the fact that we're shipping so many, like we're switching so many around, does that, what impact does that have? I don't know. I don't have an answer. It was just a something that came to me.
Well, that's why they tell you, like, when you get crystals to cleanse them and set them,
Well, yeah,
get them
but that's,
ready.
but what I mean
Because
is
you
like
got to
I
take the
felt it in
energy
my
from
house.
the previous places they've been
Yes.
away and, cleanse them.
Well, but just all of a sudden, I received like a huge influx of crystals. So yeah, I felt a different energy, right? And well, I mean, I don't know if I guess not everybody does, but I do feel energies strongly. But so to me, I was like, well, wait a minute. Okay, so those were crystals that energy was in Louisiana last week, and
Hmm.
now it's in Canada.
Well, it went to Florida.
It passed by Florida, yeah. And so like all those energies
Maybe
that
it's
were
bringing that
were
hurricane energy back with it, that strong energy.
maybe. Well, think no, because it was like a tender energy. It was very positive, very
That's
well
a
meaning.
carnelian stone that you showed me that you said felt strong.
Okay, what does that? What is that?
Carnelian.
What
Mm.
does it do? What does it? What's its
Off the top of my
power?
head.
I know. Well, wait up. We have the internet. Cornelian. Oh yeah. Look at
I will
that.
have it in a moment.
Uh,
Carnelian. Carnelian crystal vaults. Okay. Like the unexpected fire of a sunset or first flash of autumn brilliance, carnelian captures its bold energies, brings a rush of warmth and joy that lingers, stimulating empowerment. Known as the stone for motivation and endurance, leadership and courage, carnelians have protested and inspired throughout history. Let's see what the metaphysical uses are. It can help with physical, emotional, and spiritual balance issues, and it has healing powers to help with physical ailments and emotional issues. Um, Carnelian is full of the life force, stimulating metabolism and good supply of blood to the organs and tissues.
maybe that's what I felt.
It's a stabilizing crystal,
Because it had
and
like
it's
it
good for
had
the
a super
sacral
nice
chakra.
energy. It had a super cool energy. I was like, whoa, okay, that's different. Like it's just all the other ones I opened, I was like, okay, that's cool. And then I opened that one, and it was like, whoa, okay, what's going on with this one?
I don't have one right here
But
to
yeah,
show
just the fact that
everybody.
we're shifting all that stuff, and all the ideas that we're shifting around too through the world, right? Like everything that's happening right now, it's gonna be fantastic. It's gonna be beautiful soon, soonish. We have to go through some crap first, but
Did Millie keep the guitar?
yes, she did. Yes, she did. She liked it. She loved it. Actually, she was very happy. She was. Wow, you saw the. I sent you the
Hmm.
video. For those wondering, Malika is my daughter. So, um, and Jill and her have talked a few times, and so
Yeah, we were supposed to write a book together, but she backed out on me.
well, she's 8.
For now, she may change her mind later.
So probably. Who knows? She's 8, man. Like she changes her mind, quicker than than I change socks. She's, but she's wonderful. So yeah, so that was my whole epiphany of the day was, hey, we're moving crystals around. That's got to have an impact. Everything has an impact, so that's why
Yeah,
I.
definitely.
But you see, that's the thing, right? Like if let's say for a moment, I'm given a choice between two houses, right? Two exactly the same houses. One of them is, in the middle of a desert, and the other one is right beside an amethyst mine, right? Now, can we agree that both those houses may not have the same vibe? Like,
Yeah,
we
because
go
one's
through
going to be
life
hot and one's going to be
ignoring
cold.
those. Well, no, but not only from that, but from the energy that's
Just the
in
idea
the
of the
stone.
vibe, just the idea of one being hot and one being
Well, just
cold
even
changes
that,
the
yeah,
vibe.
yeah, even
But
that.
yeah, but you notice how, like, do you notice when you walk into somebody's house, everybody has like a specific smell? Like you walk into my house and it's going to smell a certain way.
Oh, okay,
And
yes.
as you go through life, sometimes you recognize those smells from
Yeah.
childhood. So because that's the energies, like let's say one of my let's say Draven moves out.
Hmm.
When he moves out, that smell's probably going to change because his energy's not here anymore.
Oh, yes. Well, it's not only his energy, like his smell is also gone.
Hmm.
Because that does have a quality to it, a
Hmm.
physical quality. But yeah, and his energy is gone. You can't.
I mean, it's not gone. It's always going to be here, but it's not going to be as strong
It's not going to be
because
the same.
he's
Yeah.
not here all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and at some point it dwindles. Like if he wasn't there for 20 years, yeah, like I mean, whatever remains would be very minute. You know what I mean? But yeah, he's been there, but he's not there. So that's
Hmm.
the. But yeah, because people carry. That's the other thing, right? Once you start noticing people as that, as energy, as how do I explain this? Once you start seeing that, you start experiencing people differently. You start kind of being like, because when you see somebody, you don't look at their physicality anymore. You barely even listen to what they have to say, because what counts is just what that thing is,
Hmm.
what that energy.
So let's talk about how you would recognize someone. Like, let's say you have a family member that passed away,
Hmm.
and it's time for you to pass away. Um, if we leave our body here on earth and only our soul goes up and our energy goes up to heaven, how do you think you would recognize that person? Hi, Nick. See what I'm saying? If they don't have that body anymore, how do you expect to recognize them?
I don't think you would. I don't think it. Not in that respect. It's because we try to attach human senses to it, right? Like recognizing a person. What is recognizing a person? That's a very human thing. It's recognizing them comes from sight, smell, like five senses that we don't have anymore when we die.
It is. But let's let me try to change this up because maybe you're not following me.
Well, actually, here,
Let's
no, no.
say
Let's try
you know
something.
how okay.
Let's try something. What about when you meet somebody that you have a connection on a soul level?
Hmm.
Right? You feel that. You know,
Yeah, their energy.
it's undeniable. You go, wait up. There's a connection that's energetic only. Well,
Okay.
that's the connection that remains.
Right. So there you're on to something. So like when someone passes away, they're gonna recognize their energy. Now,
The energies are
just
gonna mix, though. That's the thing. They're gonna.
just like when you have a when we do past life regressions, okay,
Mhm.
you may have been maybe you were a female in a past life and you're going through this in your mind, going back to your past lives and remembering your past lives.
Mhm.
Like I don't do that for you. I'm not doing that psychically. You're doing that.
Yeah.
The client's doing that. I'm guiding the client through it, but I'm not actually seeing it. They're
Yeah. It's
telling
it's
me what
their
they're
life
seeing.
that's coming up.
So let's say you go to a past life and you're a woman, you're gonna still recognize that's you. Or let's say your mom was your dad in a past life.
Mhm.
You're gonna recognize dad as mom. Like you're gonna recognize the energy. You just know it. You just have a knowing of that energy.
Well, if you want to hear something weird that Melly and I do, actually, more than once we've had these very matter of fact but weird conversations where we're like, yeah, I mean, in a different life, like maybe you were the dad and I was the kid, but whatever.
Hmm.
But we know that we've been, messing around together for like I think she's actually an older soul than I am, possibly. Like that little girl is teaching me a whole lot of stuff. She'll say things sometimes. I'm like, "What are you, 45? Like, what's going on here? Like, how did you say this?" But like, she'll pull stuff. So I think she's a very old soul. But yes, I feel like there's been a connection over multiple lifetimes, or like we create scenarios for each other or something. I don't know how to call it. it makes
What
no
about a
sense to me.
soulmate?
Well, that's it. That's what.
Because
Uh,
soulmates are not always lovers. A
no,
soulmate can be a friend, a
you can
family
hate a
member.
soulmate.
You can have many soulmates. A soulmate is not always. People say I'm looking for my soulmate. Okay,
Yeah.
but that
Well,
don't
okay.
mean maybe that's why you can't find your soulmate because you're looking for a lover when your soulmate's right next to you. Maybe that's the problem.
Yes. Or maybe also you see a soulmate and you recognize them as a lover and they may not be. That's the part people don't. When you get that soul connection, immediately beware. It doesn't mean you can have a good human connection with that person. Your souls know each other very well, but as people, you could be excessively different and excessively like incompatible, but you remember each other from your soul experience. You like that part. I don't know why that part of each other. Like we sort of like feel that part. But yeah, it doesn't mean it's a person you should be with, and that's what
And
happens.
you,
People go like, "Oh, I found my soulmate. He's beating the crap out of me every day, but that's just what we got to get through." And it's like, no, dude, you
that's because
found
you've
a
been with the last 10 lives with him and he's tired of seeing you.
and you're still not getting it. Yes, 10 lives ago he started beating you, dude. It's time you get out now. God,
That was funny.
that's pretty much
Okay,
it,
I'm
though.
just joking like that.
No, but
No.
there's a spirit of truth in that, though. Like there's yes, it's because we need to learn the one. I think something that has happened to me in this life that I found was really weird is because I went through so much crap when I was young that I think I worked out a lot of karma. And so now when I get karma, it seems to revolves faster. It seems to happen like, like oh, I do something and then it comes back faster. Like if I spread a lot of good in the world now, it's pretty fast that it comes back. It's not I don't have to wait. Like when I was younger, I was doing good and I was like, okay, but life is still crappy. Like this is not true. This is not returning to me. This sucks. But I'll still go ahead and do it cuz I believe in it. And so but now it's like I've reached a point where it's like not instant karma, but it happens much faster. I see results happen faster. Now that could be magic or it could be because I've worked out a lot of bull crap.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Or a little bit of both.
Or a little bit of both. Yes. But it's a weird thing. Like things happen faster. It's the same thing. I don't wobble in suffering anymore. I don't suffering does it's not the same. It's really you build adaptability. I think is what it is, right? Is
Hmm.
because we're always going to be a ping pong ball. We're always going to be like a little ball going in the world, like bing, 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 and as long as you don't recognize that you're being bounced around like that, you kind of, it hurts. And once you recognize it, you can kind of see it coming, right? Now you're going like, oh crap, there's a wall. Look at that. Okay, boom. Okay, now there's a this. And now you're seeing it come and you're getting through it and you're getting to the wall and going, all right, boom. Okay, that was a wall. All right. Oh, here comes another flipper. All right. And you just recognize it now. You go, okay.
Did you see that tape on that tape? Did you see that video on
What's a tape? You're old. No, I'm joking. I know full well what a tape is, sadly.
Did you see on TikTok, not your favorite channel, so you probably didn't see, but maybe one of our viewers saw it. And I saw it a few times. There's something where they put tape on the door, and
Okay.
when the person comes in, it just hits them.
They
They
just,
hit in the face, and
yeah.
some people like lose their glasses. One woman had her eyelash on it,
Oh!
like it was marked with her
It's stuck
lipstick.
to the.
Like yeah, it just like
Oh my god.
whoa, and then you got to take a step back. Yeah, that's
When I,
kind of
when
what
I
you're
was a
talking
kid, we
about.
used to do that to toilets. That was bad. Yeah,
Why?
you tape under the seat. You put like rows of tape of moving tape, and then you
Wow.
close the seat. And so when somebody sits and goes for a dump, guess what happens?
Oh my God. That is mean.
Yes, it was.
Ah.
It was very mean. We only did it
Well,
once, but
you want to know what happened to my toilet when my kids were young? One of my oldest son thought it would be funny to we were doing fireworks, and I went in the bathroom in the party room outside, and the toilet was like in pieces. It was like
oh
it was
no,
like
they
shattered,
blew it up.
and I was like, "What happened?" And I couldn't find him, and I went in his room, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" I'm sleeping. I'm like, "Did you go in the bathroom in the party room?" No. I'm like, "Are you
Uh huh.
sure?" Yeah, come to find out, he wanted to see what a water dynamite would do, so he stuck it in the
Oh
toilet and
God,
blew it up.
God, seriously. I'm glad I live in
So I don't know
Canada.
which one's worse.
Holy moly! Yeah, that's a little
I would have never
hardcore.
thought about that though.
What, to
Putting
blow up the
tape?
toilet? Oh,
That's
for sure. Yeah,
crazy.
that's a funny idea. Yep. The other thing that got done to me when I went to France as an exchange when I was 15, and when I got there, the parents decided to play a joke on me. They called it a wallet bed. What you do, people don't use top sheets much anymore, but back then we did. And so you take the top sheet, and instead of making it flat the whole length of the bed, you fold it in half. So that
Hmm.
when the person goes in, they're thinking that they have the top sheet and the bottom sheet, but what they have is two halves of the top sheet, and they're trying to go in, and then it stops your feet. So you're like pushing and going like, what's going on? And I'm in France in a family I don't know. I just came in, whatever, and I'm like in my bed going like, how am I gonna sleep? Like what the hell? And then all of a sudden I hear laughing on the other side of the door, and I'm like, oh wait a minute. And they're just like, Frank, are you okay? And I'm like, oh no. And then they came in and they showed me, but it's a good trick though. That one works on people because they're like, oh no, what do I do? What do I say? I can't say anything. Oh no. Actually, now it probably wouldn't work. I'd just be like, hey, there's something wrong with my bed. But back then I was shy.
Yeah, that goes with what I said earlier about how the older you get, the more things don't matter. Like at that
Yeah.
time, you felt embarrassed to ask.
Oh
Now
yeah, for
you
sure.
like, hey, what the hell's up with your sheets?
Well, it's self confidence too. Like, I mean, some of it comes with age, and some of it just came because I had to learn to. Because my parents did not give me self confidence. That was not a gift. That was they did not have that to give. So that was built later on in life. That's the one and only thing. See, we were talking about kids. That's the one and only thing I can hope that I give my kids is self confidence. Everything else, if they have self confidence, they'll go get it.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean? Like if you give somebody the tools to go get things, well, then they'll have everything they need because they'll go get it. But if you don't give them that, if you don't give them the that security of going like, okay, what I'm doing is right. What I'm doing is, I can mess up and it'll be okay. I can, like those are the gifts we need to give. Where I think I just lost my video, didn't I?
You frozen.
Yep. Give me a sec. I have to switch cameras. That means I knew I was gonna have that problem. And
You
I'm
had the
back
new
with a different
camera.
camera. Well, it's because the other one, the battery died. So now I'm back to the webcam. It's not as birdy, but it works.
Heather, you remember what video is to close? Because I don't remember.
Remember? Oh, the closing video. Okay, so are we
I don't
closing the?
remember
Well,
which
we've
one
been
it
on, we've
is.
been at it for 2 hours.
Yeah, we've been on 2 hours. Um, I mean, unless somebody has questions, we'll stick around and
Absolutely.
answer questions.
By the way, I never said hi to Nick, and I meant to say hi. I hope he's still there. That was a while ago.
Tomorrow is Friday.
Yay!
Today was Taco Thursday for me,
You know
and
what? I
now
don't.
now
Fridays
it's
mean
Pizza
nothing.
Thursday night.
Fridays mean nothing
Me
to me.
either. It used to be a time where it would be like Nobody wants to work on the weekend. Everybody wants the weekend off. Now it's like I work Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I don't care. It's just
I try
another
not to
day.
work.
I work on the weekend. But if I'm not working, I get bored and it's like I'm just gonna like be on TikTok all day, so I just assume work.
Yeah, you might as well.
But
Yeah, I
that's the
don't.
thing about finding something you enjoy doing. Like I enjoy what I do.
Mhm.
So like when I'm not doing it, I'm like bored.
Well, yeah, but boredom's okay too. That's something we teach kids that is so weird, right? Like the minute a kid is bored, everybody's like, "Oh, play a game, do this, do that." It's like be bored. Being bored is part of life. Like, but we so get conditioned to not be bored. Like you can't be bored. No, being bored is being alive. Like that's all. It's just you can't constantly have something to do because like it's just too much. You need to rest. You need to, but we don't. I don't know. Boredom is it's a thing we decided at some point that was terrible, and it's like no, it's not terrible. Sometimes I like just laying down on the couch and doing absolutely nothing and just going like, okay, all right.
So guys, if y'all are interested in our merch shop, we have a store with t-shirts, hoodies, um what else we have? We have long sleeve, we have razorbacks, we have all different kind of
Hoodies.
things. And we have like 20 something designs in there. Um like metaphysical type designs, magical or spiritual, what different things.
Go check it out. Go
So
find out.
yeah, it's on live with Jill and Frank .info. You can get the link to our merch store there. And just remember when you spelling Frank, his name's spelled a little different, Franck. Um, and we actually have some of our shirts featured in our closing video that we're gonna play. So if you stick around to watch the closing video, you'll get to see, real quick what we got to offer. If
And
you're not
what's
following us, please follow us um, at Live with Jill and Frank. And if you would like to be a guest,
going on?
I'm reading a
We
comment.
lost you. Oh, okay.
Hi, Jill. I've been participating in your group quite a bit. Which group? I have a few. Nice to actually see the group administrator. I have two Facebook groups myself. Just wondering if you would be interested in having a moderator that is regularly active and available for the Living with Bipolar group. Sure, sure. I will. Let me write your name down,
Maybe you guys, yeah. Maybe you guys can
and I'll
contact
send
each
you
other.
a invite, a moderator invite. LY. We talk about spiritual topics like the reason why I shared it in the bipolar group is because a lot of times, and I'm not a doctor, we are not saying we're doctors, but a lot of times someone who is having a spiritual awakening is um diagnosed as bipolar um accidentally. I'm not saying that happens to everybody, and because I'm not a doctor, we're not doctors, but we have talks on spiritual topics on this live, so that's why I shared it in that group. Um, I figured that a lot of people in that group would benefit from some of our topics, especially like the empathic topics and like we've talked about tonight, love, self love, those types of things.
Yeah, we're any modality, if you will. Like any if you're coming in going like I work with chakras. Well, cool. Like that we want to hear about it. If you're coming in going, I work with I don't know. I do polarity. I do Reiki. I do like if you feel you have something to bring to the conversation about spirituality, something that
Hmm. It
will
could be a
benefit
past
others
trauma that you either need help dealing with or you've figured out how to deal with. Could be something
as a
like that.
guest for a guest.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, if it helps somebody else, that's what the main goal is, to help people.
Well, I would tend to not invite somebody to do their trauma live on anywhere.
But I mean, if they're willing to share with us ways that they've healed their traumas,
Oh
um,
yes, if
for
people are
people
coming in to
to,
talk about how they
yeah,
okay, I thought you were talking about somebody coming in with a trauma to deal with. That's a different story. That I would actually refer to a
if
therapist.
someone was to come in with a trauma that was on the process of healing, that that would be a little different. But like someone that just needs help, that needs to, that doesn't even know where to begin. No, I'm not a doctor.
No, that's the thing. If somebody came in with a trauma, I would say call a therapist because they
Yeah.
deal with trauma. Because
Hmm.
you can do a lot of damage to somebody that comes in with a trauma that
Yeah, and
if
we're
you're
not
not
licensed,
super
or
careful.
do we claim to have the a, a ability to do that?
The only way I deal with trauma in coaching is when it comes up in terms of the coaching. So if your trauma is something that's preventing you from, getting to your next goal, then yes, at that point we'll address that specific impact that the trauma may have, right? And there's even like activities to reprogram certain triggers. But if somebody, came in with a trauma to just explore that trauma, that is something
No,
that's
we couldn't
reserved
help
to
with that.
therapists. Yeah, that's something reserved to therapists. I wouldn't. I've seen too many people come back out with like all
And I
kinds of
mean, we can't
damage.
diagnose anything either, because
Yeah,
we're not doctors. The only thing we could say is ask your doctor.
I'm diagnosing you all as crazy. That's that. That's my answer to everybody. It's a blanket diagnosis. It applies to all. We're all
So, do
crazy.
you
None of
believe
us
that
have a
stress
clue.
and trauma is an issue with bipolar? It can be an issue, but again, I'm not qualified to say each particular case. Um,
It's hard to put
Basically,
blanket
what
statements
I
to.
do is give people tools to try to help heal themselves. There are some people that need medication for bipolar, and I can't say who does and doesn't because I'm not a doctor. But I can, if you someone that needs like tools of how to deal with certain things. I mean, maybe you'll pick something up in some of the topics that we discuss, but to say like, um, help me out, Frank. What am I
Well,
trying
I'm
to
trying
say?
to follow you.
To say like for us to do therapy type things, no, we can't do that.
Well, that's it. Well, especially live on a show. I mean, I, like I do coaching, and so in coaching, yes, things come up. Like obviously, you can't separate yourself from your emotional
Hmm.
life, um, and yes, they get addressed at that point. But saying to somebody like, okay, I always tell people like, okay, do shadow work or go meditate or go, but when it comes to trauma, that is the one and only place that I take a different approach. It's like, yeah, don't go dig for trauma unless it comes up by itself in a situation. There's no reason we all have a bunch of traumas. Most of them we have forgotten. And unless it comes up in your life and it becomes a problem, like it becomes a limitation to something you're trying to do, then don't go digging for trauma just for digging because that's dangerous. That can hurt people. That can hurt you. And you may not be ready for what's going to come up. And if you're doing it, make sure that if you're like literally just digging for traumas, make sure you have a therapist you see weekly because whenever it comes up and you become all
I think
fucked up,
everybody should be in therapy.
you'll need somebody.
Personally, like I think that's a great thing. We all need somebody to talk to.
Well, yeah. But what I mean is like don't go digging for traumas. They're no use to if like here's the deal. I got sexually abused when I was younger and that came up when I was in rehab, and when it came up, it was time for it to come up, right? Like there was other issues in my life that made it that now was time to deal with this. But just going and attempting to remember all the traumas in my life, what would it have brought me out of the blue? Let's say today I discovered I had, some other crazy abuse or whatever, right? But I'm digging for it. I'm looking like, was there anything crazy in my life? Oh my God, yes, this happened. Okay, now I'm stuck dealing with a trauma that I could have lived an entire lifetime potentially never having to revisit because it just got stored and it never
Hmm.
became relevant. So trauma is a little different. Shadow, yes, you play with your head and you go dig and you look for stuff. Traumas, you don't. Traumas, if they come up, yes, if you see that, every time this happens, I get this reaction. We talk all the time about triggers. Like we're in this society, we're constantly talking about triggers. Yes, if something triggers you, it's not the world that has to change. You have to look at what trauma has been triggered from the outside world.
Hmm.
But it's your trauma, not the outside world's trauma to fix. So the whole, like everybody has to create safe spaces for everything. Like it's yes, but no. Like it's important, but it's not. Like we gotta stop. We deresponsibilize ourselves that way. Like we keep on going like, oh my god, no, you know,
Deresponsibilize.
yeah, nobody should trigger me. No, I should not allow people to trigger me. I should not have triggers. Why do I come with triggers? Who comes
That
with
comes
what?
with work though, because it's
Oh,
hard
of course.
sometimes.
Of course. Yeah, yeah, but it's realizing though, it's once you start looking, right? That's the power. Once you start going, okay, I'm going to look for my triggers, right? Now, that's a very basic decision, but when you do that, all of a sudden you now take responsibility for your triggers, right? Now something happens, you go, wow, I got triggered here. Why? Why did I get triggered? Now, when you're asking those questions, it's not the same. Yeah, sure, you still get triggered, but now you're going, oh, what happened? And typically, you find the answers. You'll go, crap, why did I get triggered? What happened here? And so if you look into, like, now you're exploring, but you're exploring in function of what's happening to me that is preventing me from moving forward in life,
Exactly.
right? And that's the basic question. Ask yourself, whatever you do in life, it's a belief, it's a new habit you want to take, it's whatever it is. The basic question is, will this serve me in life or will this
Do I need
hinder me
this?
from moving
Hmm.
forward? If it hinders me from moving forward, I want to get as far as possible from it. Whatever it is, a person, a thing, a place, who cares? If it's not going to help me move forward, it's out of my life. And if something's going to help me move forward, then it's in my life. And that's that. Like, that's all there is to it. And if you do that, you start moving forward pretty fast because now you only have things in your life that help you move forward. It's that's part of environment. We got to do a whole episode on that environment design. That's a
Environment design.
huge thing. That is a massive thing. Like we used to say when I took coaching, one of the things we always said, the environment always wins. I can take the most amazing person, like that is like the calmest in the world, whatever. If I shove them in an abusive relationship with, stuck in the fields somewhere, they can't get out, they're like, there's every challenge possible for them to ever go away from there. Well, okay, like that person does not have a proper fighting chance, and it's not because of them, it's because of the environment they're in. And so learning to look at your environment and say, is this helping me move forward, is a huge thing. And environment includes people in your life, and that's a tough one. That's the one that gave me a hard time when I learned it. And now I'm trying to read Charlene at the same time. I'm a firm believer that diet stress, big factors with mental health. Lady in my group was diagnosed BP1. She has been sick.
Did Heather just put it on the screen?
makes a lot of good points in what she's saying there. Um, and it's true. There's a lot of between mental health and between uh, especially the gut. Like a lot of our the physical and the mental are excessively tied together.
Hmm.
So yes, diet, stress, all those things have a huge. That's why I always say, like, stop during the day, breathe. Like, just if nothing else, if you take 5 minutes in your entire day, and for those 5 minutes you willfully breathe slowly and rhythmically, that's already going to make a difference. It's going to create, like, physiologically, your blood is going to start circulating better. The oxygen is going to travel better in your body. Like, so many things are going to happen physiologically, and just, stopping and going, like, let's breathe properly and relax.
So
So,
like I believe in holistic medicine and all that stuff, of course, being, doing what I do.
hmm
But at the same time, I believe in it. It works, and it's it's a good. I wouldn't discourage anybody from going and look and talking to someone who was had a professional background with holistic medicine. But at the same time, that person has to be open minded. If you have someone that comes in, it's just like with hypnosis. If someone comes in and they want to quit smoking, well, let's put it this way: if someone's husband calls me because he wants his wife to quit smoking, and it wasn't her idea, and she like it doesn't bother her that she's a smoker, I can hypnotize her all day, every day. She's not gonna quit smoking. People have to be open minded for holistic medicine to work and actually follow the advice from the professional. Not just think that it's going to magically work. Even though it is magical in a way, you still have to follow. You am I making sense?
I'm not sure where you're coming from yet.
I'm looking at her comment.
Yeah, it's the holistic bit. There's like, you have an experience tied to the holistic bit. That's what I'm trying to get to
Hmm.
hear. That's what that's what I'm like. Okay, so what's behind this? Like, what happened? What bad experience? What, like, um. Well, okay. Let's define, number one. Let's define what we're talking about when we say holistic medicine, because, like, that's a
She's talking
loose
about like
term.
natural stuff.
Well, that's it. But there's naturopath, and there's both
Hmm.
were mentioned, right? Holistic and
Well, I don't know which one
naturopath.
she's talking about.
Well, maybe she can.
I'm assuming she means a combination.
Well, okay. Holistic medicine. All that means is basically looking at at the entire being as one. That's all it
Yeah, it,
means.
it ties into everything else because just like with manifestation, holistic medicine is like that's their first cousin. Holistic medicine and manifestation are first cousins. Like from believing that you're okay, that has a lot to do with it too, like the intentions.
No, but that's the thing.
And
Holistic medicine doesn't mean that. Holistic medicine, like, think of the
holistic
world.
medicine is like plants, right?
No, holistic. No, that's
Or energy healing.
no. Holistic medicine
Define
means
holistic
that.
medicine
Well, that's what I'm
for
trying
what
to
it
do.
means to you.
If
I
you'll
know
let
what
me
you
out.
say. I know what you say, and I just wanted to know what it means to her too. So go
Yeah, but I'm
ahead.
trying to tell you what it means to the dictionary.
All right, go ahead.
In the dictionary, um, holistic medicine means, instead of isolating each part of the human, you look at the human as a whole. And so
Mhm.
each part affects each other. Yeah, healing the body as a whole entity
Mhm.
instead of healing parts of the body. That's what
Mhm.
holistic medicine means. It doesn't mean, I know it gets
So
tied a lot of times when we talk holistic medicine. People tie it with the natural products, but not so much the
mhm.
natural products, but the I can't find the word, but the
So
natural
basically an
remedies, but that are
awakening.
in pill forms, and they tie it to that. But holistic only means it, because our um, yes, and looking for the root cause. Because medicine as a whole, like modern medicine, tends to look at the body in very specialized way, right? You go see the
Mhm.
heart doctor. You go see the. Here's a good example. My mom had kidney problems, right? And so she was
Mhm.
seeing kidney specialists. Now the kidney specialists were pumping her full of potassium because potassium is good for the kidney. However, potassium is bad for the heart, and she
And
died of a heart
veins.
attack. And so because they were pumping her full of potassium, it's her heart that ended up going. Where holistic medicine would go, well, okay, wait a minute. We could try to pump her full of potassium, but then we may hurt her heart. So we have to go easy with that because we want to protect the heart. Because you're thinking of both at once. You're thinking
Mhm.
of the entire body and how it relates to each other instead of thinking in
Right.
terms of just the one thing. Uh,
So Sherilyn, do you also do you practice hypnosis? Like, do you do? Because like if you're wanting to heal the body as a whole, I'm assuming sometimes that could mean past life regression. Like if you're looking for that trauma, you that could mean past life regression.
looking for the root. Like it can, but it doesn't have like
It
I think
doesn't
she's
have to be, but
taking
it can be.
yeah, but if I'm
In
right,
some
like she's
cases.
taking much more of an approach coming at it from the body. Uh like it's more of a because she's saying, right, diet and stress are a huge factor, right? That's where she's coming at it from. She's saying, okay, well, you gotta fix your spirit, but if you have if you're trying to meditate and do all that stuff, and throughout that process, you're also drinking arsenic.
Mhm.
Guess what? I don't care how much you're meditating, you're not getting better.
Right.
You're drinking arsenic,
Hi,
right?
Michelle.
Where hi Michelle, where if you yeah, that's what I mean is she's coming at it from like the toxins, like that's what she's saying here, right? Diet, lifestyle, environment, family chemicals, stress, traumas.
So do you do Reiki too?
I don't think she does because she's mentioned she does.
Didn't the doctor we had on, she was into holistic medicine, and didn't she do Reiki as well?
She wasn't
Sh
too. No, she was. Well, she was into holistic medicine, but that's where okay. She was coming from a medical background, and so for
she
her
is too, though, right?
going to the holistic, it was she was kind of going like because again, it's modern medicine doesn't look at the body in a holistic way, and it's a problem. It's a huge problem with modern. Well, I mean, it's an
So
opinion,
basically,
but
the doctor that came on had a medical background and holistic background. This woman has, but what medical field? She said holistic medical fields.
well,
Are you
Sherilyn is
just
telling us
specifically
she does a
talking
lot of
about
things.
holistic? Yeah, I said it right. I thought I said it wrong. Okay.
Yeah, here we're just talking about diet and how
Hmm.
like I mean if I drink 12 coffees and go meditate, guess what? I'm still going to be shaking. I
Hmm.
don't care how much I meditate. I'm going to be like
I
because
don't know.
I'm
I'm probably immune to it. Like I don't go to sleep with water by my bed. I go to sleep with Coke Zero by my bed.
yeah,
I
it
know
has an
that's bad,
impact though.
but
It has an impact. You're just not aware of it. If you stopped it for a certain amount of time,
oh, it
then you
would
would
have.
notice the
Yeah.
impact. Then you would go, "Oh crap, that's what it did to me." But now you don't feel it. It's the same when I was smoking, right? I used to be a smoker. I did not feel the damage smoking did to me. Yeah, okay. Does that mean it didn't do damage to me? No, it did damage to me. I
Hmm.
just didn't feel it anymore, right? Oddly enough, that's part of the reason why smokers don't have taste buds anymore. We don't taste stuff. Why? Because we don't. Because
Penelope
cigarette.
says she has her tea.
Because nicotine knows that it should. First off, it should kill our taste buds because we're never gonna want to smoke if we have taste buds. So it gets rid of
I
that,
don't
and
know.
then
This
we're good.
bubblegum thing tastes pretty good.
Oh yeah, you guys with the vape and all the insanity there. Yeah, it's getting worse and worse.
Yeah, but I don't even
Uh,
smoke a half a pack of cigarettes in a day now that I started using this thing.
I'll go with
So I mean, I
Penelope on
know
the tea.
It's not that it's much better, but
That's
it's
okay.
a step forward.
Do you need us to help you work out work through your guilt? But it's a step forward. It's okay. Just be patient and be forgiving for yourself. It's not a big deal. Different types of doctors and allopathic. See, allopathic is a term I don't know.
So Penelope, are you drinking tea just for the caffeine, or you have like holistic tea, or like a herbal tea? I want coffee now. It's cold here. I want coffee today. I know it's not today no more. Like it's 9:30, but I'm drinking coffee before I go to bed just to warm me up.
That's the word you were thinking about. Homeopathic.
Homeopathic.
That's what you were referring to at the earlier in the conversation there when you were describing the use of natural products, but then you're creating yeah. Homeopathy has got its own problems. Let's just call it. But allopathic. Okay, wait up.
Iced tea or hot tea?
Oh, okay. That's what allopathic means. Interesting. Many different types of doctors and allopathic.
Okay, so the
Okay, so
doctor we had
allopathic, you're
on,
saying means regular MDs. Okay, that
the
makes sense.
doctor that we had on was a traditional doctor and left her practice to pursue holistic medicine, right?
Yes. Well, did she leave? I don't even think she left. I think
She
she's
left her
still.
practice,
She
but
left her
she said she
practice.
was still doing some home health
Yeah, but she does all
services.
kinds of stuff though. She
Yeah,
she
she
does all
does
kinds of
multiple
other healing.
things.
She does all kinds of other healing methods. Like, I mean, it's all. It's
You
the
could
the
probably
the.
check out her the video with her on. It was episode 5.
But that's the whole thing. Like the well, like holistic
Oh
basically
my
means the
god.
opposite of allopathic. It's
She said her weather's gonna get down to 11. Frank, you -4, huh?
I don't know what I am. Uh, well, yeah, but that's in Celsius. So in
Yeah, I drink
Fahrenheit,
cold
it's
tea.
so I'm at 24.8 Fahrenheit. It's cold and there's
It's
snow.
42 here right now. It's freezing.
42. Seriously, that's super hot.
We have a freeze
No, it's
tonight.
still cold. It's still
How long
cold.
is got how cold it's got to be to freeze?
I don't know in Fahrenheit. See, it's easy in Celsius. It's 0. Yeah, we tend to base our
Well,
stuff
Terrebonne
on
has a freeze
things.
tonight. So it's going to get down to 39 degrees, I think. That's what it says. So I guess that's freezing. I don't know, 30 something.
39 Fahrenheit. I think freezing is 32. I think the 0 Celsius is 32 Fahrenheit. I think.
Close enough. Frank has snow. He sent me some
32
pictures of
Fahrenheit.
snow today. I was like,
32. 32 Fahrenheit is 0 Celsius. That's freezing. 32. So what's it gonna be? 45?
it's going to be 39.
39. Yeah, okay. You're close to there. Yeah, that's cold. That's cold. Yeah, but we're gonna reach minus 40 Celsius here at some point. Minus 30 probably. 40 less with the windshield sometimes, but it's more like
You must be warm in
usually minus
California.
20.
Well, they say it gets cool in California too.
What's your description? What do you call cool? Really?
I don't know, 60?
they get like a drop of snow and they close everything. You guys too.
Yeah. Nobody
No.
has special tires like y'all got up north.
You saw the snow at my house and you were like, "Oh my god." It's like, "What?" There's
See,
like
Pamela lives not far from me, maybe 15 minutes, and she says we having a light freeze
the
tonight.
news light freeze tonight. Ooh.
That means we might be closed tomorrow. We don't need snow to close. If we have a freeze, we closing.
Yeah,
Because
it was a bit cold. We got to close
the road's
everything.
ice, like underneath the bridge, it's
Yeah, yeah.
ice.
Yeah.
But see, in the north, y'all have special tires. And we don't have that here because we go with a cheaper brand because we don't need the snow tires.
Well,
I
yeah,
don't know
but
if I could live in the snow. I would like literally have to be rich because I would not be shoveling snow. I saw this man on TikTok. He had something on the back of his car, and he
Mhm.
opened his garage door, and when he drove out his garage, it shuffled all his snow. That's what I would need. I would just stay inside for the winter.
Yeah, well, that's what most people do. It's pretty
But don't
cold.
y'all have to shovel snow?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, you can hire somebody to do it.
What happens if you don't? Like you just get water in your house?
Oh, dude, you'll have way too much. You'll have way too much snow. Well, no, but you need to drive out. Like your driveway needs to be like where you park. You have to take away the snow
Uber?
there. Well, that's it. That's an option that exists, and you can do it. But the problem is, most
They'll
of our
pick you up
cities
on the
are.
road
Yeah, the
because your
problem is
driveway's not
the way we're
shoveled.
built in Canada. We have the population of New York State in an entire country that's bigger than yours, and so we're all spread out. So Uber is expensive because you're always going far. You're not
Yeah.
going like it's not, like super tight like in the States. It's wide. And places like Ottawa, it's even more ridiculous because we have the tower of the Parliament. For the longest time, they weren't allowed to build buildings that were higher, and so instead of building a city that built high in height, they built a city that became wide, 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 wide. So we have the worst like public transport. We have because it's all too expensive because you're having a bus go around and pick up three people.
She's got her AC at 66.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I have my kitchen window open.
Oh, 67
67.
Fahrenheit. I'd be so happy if it was 67.
What day it was?
67,
Monday.
that's a lot.
Monday was a beautiful day, but it rained and I like rain. So
Oh,
remember Frank,
67,
I was
that's a
like,
t-shirt.
Frank, today's an amazing day. The leaves are blowing. Everything is perfect.
67 is a t-shirt day. It's beautiful. 19 Celsius. That's my house is at that. I keep my room at that temperature. All right. Well, I think that we're pretty much reaching no, not when it's 11 outside, 11 Fahrenheit.
Degrees.
Ouch. Yeah, okay, in Fahrenheit that's starting to get cold. What is that? That's minus 11 Celsius. Yeah, that's starting to get cold. We had that the other morning. That was fun.
I love a cool day. Fall is my favorite time of year.
Digress. All right, that's it. I
All
think
right,
we're
let me find that video. We're gonna close with the video. Remember to visit Live with Jill and Frank at
info
info.com.
dot info.
Live with Jill and Frank.info. Yeah, that's right. Um, to view upcoming dates,
We also have blog
and
articles we're writing.
we have blog there. We have a blog post. We have a merch store, and we have our services listed. My services are listed with pricing. Frank is a it differs between clients, so for him you have to call for a price, and it's gonna depend on what you need.
It's
We're gonna
expensive, but it's good.
we're gonna play. I hope I play the right video, guys, because I don't know if this is the right one or not. But I'm gonna play a closing video. So we will see you back Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. We're gonna have Aggie Thibodeau here with the Reiki room live with us on Tuesday at 7 Central, 8 Eastern.
Well, thank you for joining us, and
Good night,
come
everybody.
back next week. Take care, guys.